Welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week is a pretty light news week. We have a couple things to discuss as far as the community day that's coming at the end of the month, but this week is a very special week because I have none other than Caleb joining me again for another episode. This week is going to be a really special theme. We're going to be talking about iterative versus new, and that's going to be the general theme as we kind of dive into that. We always kind of have a few tangents here and there, but I think we had a really good discussion, and I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback. All that and more in this week's episode of Keelhauled Podcast. But before we get into any of that, of course, I have to thank the patrons. They are the ones that are supporting this. They are the ones that are doing their part to help out. And I want to thank everyone that has joined recently. We have had 8 new patrons in the last couple weeks. So thank you to all the support. It's been amazing. It's really helped out. We're now at 35, working towards 40. And I do have a special message to the patrons. Make sure you guys are checking the posts, because I did post back on the 11th that I have a special message for those that are joined up. So if you want to know what that is, just head over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast. Sign up. There's a public message there. And I'm going to be working on getting that information out to all the patrons. So thank you to, actually, I forgot the list. There's the list. I got it. All right. So thank you to Chateau Neuf, Cloud, Cosmic Johnson, Davram TV, El Cute, El Jefe Esteban, Trickster, Jabaro5, Kazia the Rogue, King Flameheart, Awkward, Lumpy SRQ, Arian Darth, Dub Goose, Evil Morpheus, Xbox Mike 29, Munchie, Regis Stella, Rust Belt Kid, Norwegian, TN Professor, Real Big Tuna, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Super Pack, Music Me, Fergatron, Murphy Lives, Neon, Evil Martha, Ruski Doo, Skinny Matt, Straw Hat Connor, Thor Von Blitz, Windsor Chris, and Zam Wow. Thank you all so much for your support. It means the world to me, as I say every week. It really does. It is helping me in many, many ways. So thank you so much for your support. And again, make sure you're keeping an eye on the Patreon. I send out emails when I go post stuff too. So I'm going to need some input from y'all real soon. So as soon as things get closer to those announcements, I will be able to talk about them. But until those get scheduled out, and that kind of teases a little bit about what's going on, but big stuff coming this year, and I cannot wait. I'm really excited to talk about it. So thank you to the patrons. Hopefully I didn't mess up your name. Let me know if there's something you need changed. Love y'all. Hey Caleb, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Keelhauled. Just wanted to thank you for joining me. I know you wanted to talk about some stuff, and I'm sure you've got notes. I didn't take any notes down, but I figured if you're the one that wanted to come on the episode, it's going to be your job to actually make the content.
Take over your show.
Yeah. You know, you're still working on that, I guess, right?
Yeah, I've tried to do the mutiny, but you've just got too many loyal crew members that just fight me off every time.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing too, because we've got a really good announcement. Do you mind if I jump into this community day stuff? Because I got some opinions. Do you got opinions? Because I think you got opinions.
CaptainLogun of the Keelhauled podcast, I'll allow it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. For any of you that may be listening fresh to the podcast, this is Caleb. He has been constantly hiding in the bottom of my ship, trying to take over the ship or the podcast in general.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm wearing an all black outfit. So could you please call it tucking? Thank you very much.
I'm so sorry. My God. This is Caleb the Tucker. He has been tucking on my ship.
All right, now I regret immediately.
He has been double gunning.
I think a lot of
barrels
people in the community would like to call me a little Tucker,
or something akin to that. Right?
Onto the show.
Of course, Caleb the Tucker. So no, he is the host and owner of the Trailblazers Network. If you don't know, he does a lot of just audio drama. Was a good general thing for it.
That and a show about teaching you how to play Pathfinder and other role playing games.
Is that real? Because now I feel like you're messing with me.
It's true. I know it's hard to picture me in any sort of position of authority that one would learn something from me, but it happens. Believe it or not.
Well,
I have twos of people that appreciate me.
That's that's always good. I mean, that's better than zeros.
Hmm.
I mean, there are some people out there who could definitely look. Teachers got to teach. Tucker's got to tuck. But I wanted to get into the Sea of Thieves Community Day because this is something
Rare's got to advertise.
Rare advertises. This is an interesting one because I love the premise, but I have some qualms with the implementation. But I wanted to touch on it, and I figured we could.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that could be the motto of every Sea of Thieves player, maybe every gamer. Actually, now that I think about it, a little mantra right there. That should be put in gold.
I like the implementation, but I have some qualms with it.
Yeah,
it's the name of our band. So let's dive into this a little bit. So Sea of Thieves announced a first community day, and this is something that is set for January 30th. It's only going to be on the 30th. It goes from, I think, the beginning of it's like 10 a.m. on GMT for the 30th, and it goes for full 24 hours. So it'll end on 10 a.m. the 31st. And the idea of this, and I'll read this blurb here because I think it's important for you guys to get a basis for what this is. But they put it in an article out thanks to Christina over there, head of community, and she says, here at Rare, we know we have an incredibly special and unique Sea of Thieves community. From fan art to fundraisers to lifelong friendships being formed. Not a day goes by where we don't log in and see a sea of inspiring acts and perfect plays and stunning puns, which we also enjoy. You consistently make our day, which is why this January we're making a concerted effort to make yours. Yes, the start of 2022 sees us holding our first ever Sea of Thieves Community Day as part of the Season 5. This momentous occasion is all about rewarding and celebrating you, our brilliant and spirited sailors. And we'd really love for you to join us on the party on Sunday, January 30th. We have quite a list of ways that you can get involved, gathering into this delightful article right here for you all to digest. So right off the bat, how do you feel about this?
My initial opinion when reading this whole announcement, looking at how they were going to implement it all, it seemed to me that this was all sort of a big, let's get Sea of Thieves trending. Mm-hmm. This was a very self-serving. It didn't seem to be for the community. It seemed to be more for Rare or the game.
Okay.
In my humble opinion, I would say that some of the reasons being, like, some of the rewards don't seem particularly exciting. It's not lasting a long time. Mm-hmm. Not to say it isn't nice to have a greater multiplier than we've ever seen. I'm not saying that. Of course, I'm sure. And anyone who would disagree with me would probably bring up these kind of points. It just really seemed like it was, we'll make a big stink about it, and we'll try to get everyone very excited for not much. And look, it just happens to really part of this happens. We have to be trending on Twitter for you to get your reward. Look at that! Well, what a coincidence! But I'm a very pessimistic person. I'm a very skeptical person.
Well, you're touching on a lot of stuff that we haven't really explained for folks that are just jumping into this news for a bit. But so let's kind of break down a little bit. The first part is the We Shall Sail. Oh, I left the door open and the cats are in now. It's too late.
Adorable.
The first part, if you
it's too late. They're in. They're inside the house.
Oh God! Stop eating the Christmas. No, stop eating the Christmas stuff. Go on. Oh God!
Well, he's saying Logan.
I can't handle it.
January 16th at the time of this recording. Is still Christmas stuff out? They're trying to do
it's on the floor, and it's like I'm ready. I'm trying to put it away, but I haven't just put it up in the closet yet because I got to move a bunch of stuff. So they're like gnawing.
How do you keep your cats from gnawing on wires?
They're not into wires.
The things that could hurt them.
I don't know. They have no interest in that. I don't know why. They'll eat cardboard, they'll eat tinsel, mm-hmm. but they won't mm-hmm. eat any wires, which is
tinsel, which can literally kill them. Stupid cats.
Which is why they usually get shut out this room, but they're in now.
I was literally in tears at the vet because we weren't sure if my cat had to be put down because he had string.
Oh no.
And I paid more money than I wanted to for them to do an x-ray, and they said we don't see string, and I was crying. I felt I'm crying now thinking about it, and my wife wasn't with me for support. Stupid. I hate my stupid animals because they're so stupid. and I love them so much.
So if you want to find out more about how Sea of Thieves is going to be doing this promotion, the first little bit says, "We shall tweet together." The article goes into detail saying that you just need to jump onto Twitter and tweet using the hashtag Sea of Thieves Community Day, which I'm going to say right now is a huge hashtag.
Yeah, I don't know what you'll tweet because there'll be no space left.
You're gonna lose 50 characters just in the hashtag alone. But you have to tweet with the hashtag Sea of Thieves Community Day between January 30th and January 31st, and you'll play your part in boosting the community emissary grade. Every time a cumulative community tweet total is hit, oh my god, the alliteration is beautiful, but oh my god, Christina. Every time a cumulative community tweet total is hit, we'll notch up the multiplayer on in-game rewards. So the more you all tweet, the more golden reputation and renown, I'm going to add that in right now because they say it later, and renown you'll earn. So right off the bat, the main issue that I have with this is that it is so focused on just one social media platform. Especially given people's preferences. Not everyone likes Twitter, not everyone has a Twitter, but this is something that is being kind of used on just Twitter alone. I was hoping that this is something that they could actually track using like Instagram. I don't even know if like TikTok or Snapchat would be viable for this. I don't think Snapchat would, but TikTok at least, or even Facebook. Even though I hate Zuckerberg.
I think you mean Meta, Logan.
No, I'm going to call it Facebook because if anything, the only thing I want to do is use a book against Zuckerberg's face.
Aww.
That's all I want. I will never call it Meta. So we already, I kind of have some trouble with this because it is just on Twitter. I live on Twitter, so I'm not worried about this, but I hate the idea that it is just on Twitter and it's just for one day and that it is boosted. Like I'm hoping that the community tweet total is pretty low because I don't. No, I do. I hope that it's low because I want them to be able to get because they're saying that the community emissary grade is going to add an additional 3.5 times to gold, reputation, and renown, which is amazing. If you're planning your day out, you sail on Sunday, which is just the one day that you're going to be able to do this on, and you've got a grade 5 Reaper, you're going to be hitting that 2.5%. For that, plus the extra 3.5% for that, that's 6% on top of like golden hour, which I think is double. I think double the base.
Boy, I did the math a while ago to figure out if it was just an additional or if it was multiplicative, and I cannot recall my answer. I can search while you talk.
I was hoping you would remember this. I really was.
Do you remember me doing it? I was on your server.
Yeah, I remember you testing this all out and stuff, and it was really important to you that you knew, and no one's answer was good enough because they didn't have hard proof. So you went and did it yourself, and now you can't remember.
Can you believe that when asking an answer from randos on the internet, I want some semblance of other proof than source. I said it.
Sir, that is the internet in general. If you want proof, you have to do it yourself. You can't ask the internet for proof and expect proof.
I'm looking it up now.
It's fine. We're moving on.
The thread.
So, we are, while you look that up, I will vamp because I've never had to use the word vamp in my life.
I looked up the etymology of the word vamp, couldn't find it. Nobody knows where it came from.
Really? That's interesting.
Can't find the answer. If you have the answer, I would love to hear it, please.
I don't, but I always just assumed that was something that would be very well known or at least easily Googleable. So with this, I love this idea of sharing stories. I love the idea of sharing tweets and things like that. The community that we have is great when it comes to being creative. I've seen, the Lego stuff recently. The guy that's been making the Lego Sea of Thieves stuff, he made a sloop recently. Awesome. Dude, it looks amazing. I want to buy those Legos, and I hate buying Legos because that stuff is way too expensive for what I want to spend on something that is going to collect dust. But overall, the main issue that I run into with this is that it's just one day. It is just on one social media platform. And again, it's at the end of the month when I've literally done everything I can to ensure that my emissary ledgers are set up so that I don't have to worry about them on the last 2 days of the ledger. And you're telling me that, again, we're going to have another Golden Glory-esque style thing on the end of the month, just like December. And I'm like, great. Well, hopefully I can get on and sail and do Athena and Reaper to really boost up my ledger position, because otherwise I'm going to get knocked out and screwed out of my ledgers again.
All right. I looked up the thread. And it seems to me that the conclusion we came to was that it boosted the base value.
Okay.
So if I turned in something for 1,000 gold base, and with gold an hour, it becomes 1,500. So then you add your emissary, say your
2.5 times
4, just to make it easy. You get 1,500.
Okay.
Plus 1,500. So, boy, I would like to see experimentation now with this to see how it's multiplicative or not.
Yeah, I think it's going to be additive to the emissary value. I think it'll act as an emissary, but if you have an emissary, it'll just add on top of that. So if emissary gives you 2.5 times at grade 5, and this goes up to 3.5 times, then you just get 6 times the value of the base. And golden hour would bump that up to 150% of the normal value.
We'll see how it is. The point is you're going to get a lot of money.
A lot of money, a lot of renown, a lot of reputation, which I don't know what I need reputation for, but people out there need reputation. So, and I'm already level 100, so I don't need the renown. I've given up on gold because gold is just a something that'll be cool if I have it, cool if I don't. But that's.
I'm still getting it because I haven't gotten all the Dark Adventure stuff yet. So
yeah,
I keep saying
I know that's the thing, everyone. But it's.
I have a few items left. I think I have like 4 items left, and then I have to start cracking away at those ship parts, which are just 4 million and 8 million. Oh my gosh.
Can I talk about just real quick the sheer irony of adding a gold sink in the form of the Dark Adventurers set, only so that they can come up with ways for you to earn gold even more than you could ever do so before to buy that stuff.
That's fun.
I think it's so weird that they came up with that set and they're like, here's how we fix the gold problem. Here's a gold sink. It's a huge gold sink so that if you want it, then you can get it. But then we're going to add ways for you to earn even more gold than you could possibly ever have earned in the past.
Well, they're not often in it. You always have to, help people who don't have a lot of gold get a lot of gold to spend on whatever they want to spend on. I think it's cool.
But we just had a Golden Glory last month, 2 weeks ago.
True. It's true.
So
you're not wrong.
That's kind of where it's the one thing that I like about this is that they're doing a.
Look, are you complaining that you're getting too many good things too quick? You really are a Sea of Thieves player. There should be 4 months in between any entertainment value I get out of this game.
No, I love that they're doing this. Again, I love the implementation, or I love the idea. It's the implementation that I have some issues with. And again, it comes up to looking at the scope of what's going on. Had they had done this in the middle of January, like this weekend, I'd have been totally fine with it, because whatever happened this weekend, you still had 2 weeks to plan out your ledgers to see where you landed, to make sure that you don't get knocked out of your position, because a whole bunch of people logged in on the last day. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. I'm over it, but I understand.
That's fair. I'm harping on this. You're harping on something else. It's totally fine. We all have the things that we're poking holes at and stuff.
Yeah, for me, I think it's fine. It really seems like many things in life, we like sort of automatically assess the reasoning, the what's the X behind it. I have aphasia all the time. You have to.
No, that's fine.
Not the meaning behind it, the intention behind it. And it just really seems to me at face value. My first thought was the intention wasn't really, this is for the community. This is really more for us at Rare and getting the game out there and in common tongue, or in aphasia.
They're trying to use it as a marketing boost
in the global conscious, the zeitgeist of the world.
Yeah.
And that's what just seems to me, and it's especially offensive when you're trying to say, hey, it's community day for the community, when it seems pretty obvious that it's not for the community.
Well,
it's a level 2. Level 1 is, hey, we're doing this, enjoy, and we go, oh, you're really doing it for yourself. And then level 2 is, hey, we're doing this for you. It smacks of when a company is like, oh, and you know what? We're doing this for you guys, the workers. It's like, you don't give two craps about me. What are you talking about? A pizza party? I'm real excited. How about a promotion or an increase in my pay, right? You know what I'm saying here? That's what this reeks of.
Gotcha.
Oh, this is for you. Like, out of touch is the word.
So here's where I will offer up some evidence to the contrary. They're going to be planning Twitch drops, which I use lightly because it's not actually Twitch drops. It's just a Twitch drop, which they do actually say. But on the day, any streamer that is streaming on Twitch will have the availability. It doesn't matter if they're a partner or not. You can watch them for 20 minutes to earn the Gilded Phoenix Tankard. So if that's one that you happen to have missed in the past, that's what it's going. You're going to be able to get that Gilded Phoenix Tankard, which is one of the community content creator like items that Gilded Phoenix set is intended for the community stuff. I think it would have been amazing if they had taken that and been like, all right, anyone watching on this day gets the obsidian capstan.
Ooh.
I think that would have been a great way to celebrate the community, because everyone wants that bloody capstan. And that's the one part that's missing out of so many people's sets. And there's only so many ways that you can actually get that capstan. So I think that it's great that they're giving a Gilded Phoenix Tankard. I appreciate that. And I'm glad that they're allowing any streamer to do that. I will probably plan on streaming so that if people need to watch someone that they know, then I can help with that. I'll probably jump onto that just to help out. But that being said, I really think that the obsidian capstan would have been better. So that's one way. It
is kind of dumb that it's like, oh, here's something that we just gave away recently.
Yeah. So that's something where it's like, that is a benefit to streamers. So that supports the community, because it doesn't matter if they're a partner or not. The other thing is that if you're a fan, you'll also be able to earn a 30% discount on specific stuff in their merch store, which I can already hear you telling me that is a very self-serving thing that they're doing. But
yes, it's maybe even the primary reason this whole thing is happening.
But it is something that, as a fan, I want to buy that stuff. That is something that is desirable for me, and it is a nice thank you out of nowhere to be able to get 30% off. Now, what that stuff is will remain to be seen. The one thing that I will point to that does seem like it is self-serving from your aspect is that they're giving a community day t-shirt, which will only be on sale that day. So that is one of the things, like, if it's a community serving thing, I would love for that just to be a thing that's added to the store permanently. Like, even if you can't log in and buy it that day, because if you can't buy it, it's the end of the month. A lot of people have rent the next day. So it's one of those things where I hate the exclusivity side of this. And that's kind of what they're pushing towards, is they want this to be a special day. They want it to be important. They want to create that FOMO to try and get people to talk about this stuff. So they're
just not considering people like me who just started playing Fortnite again, and immediately there was a cat creature that came out, and I had to get that skin. I promised myself I wouldn't buy anymore, but it was a kitty cat samurai, so I had to get that. And I don't have any money left for real world stuff. I only buy digital things that will disappear one day, and I feel really bad about buying. That's what I'm here for, Logan. Is there a sale in the Emporium? Maybe then I'll listen. I don't need a shirt. I'm too fat for shirts.
Well, that's part of the problem too, is a lot of the shirts aren't sized for everyone. They're sized for, streamers.
Listen, you got big pirates in the game. Consider there's big pirates in real life. All right. I'm a big boy.
I'm hoping that gets fixed soon, actually. But to move in to some of the things that you can get in game, they've got a flag, which just a community day flag. Kind of like the titles, it's there if you want it. I think it's nice that they're putting it up there. And a power cord emote, which is really random. I don't I don't know why they're playing air guitar in Sea of Thieves. Maybe it's a banjo.
They showed an emote recently in one of their videos of somebody cupping their hands across a warm cup of grog. And I'm so mad because you can only get it by buying coffee. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I would have liked that. I would like that emote if I didn't have to buy the coffee as well, too. Because I don't know what the coffee's like. And I've already got a ton of coffee because I shop at Costco. So I don't need more coffee. I've got plenty. But I do want that emote because it is kind of adorable.
I have put myself above all you peasants who drink coffee. I saw it capture my parents, and they are addicted to it. They have to have it to move on. I avoided that. Instead, I have to have soda, which is in many ways worse, and I have to have it.
Look, we all kill ourselves in different ways.
That's right. Whether we're smoking, drinking, drinking booze, drinking soda, we all put the different man-made drugs into our body. Whether it's the caffeine molecules or the nicotine, we're all for it.
I don't want that being our motto.
But unfortunately, that is the motto of the human race.
So,
someone once said that the sum of human experience is trying to figure out a way to dull the human experience, to escape the human experience.
I don't want to feel.
Whether it's Aboriginals licking frogs, people in the north looking for mushrooms. Every civilization found their own way. Whether it's just letting corn rot and then drinking and going, you know what? This made me forget things for a couple hours.
Oh man. So okay, that's kind of the overall thing with the community day event.
I mean, we would know that because we had to drink 500 grogs in a row to get something to trigger.
We're getting to that. We'll get to that.
Supposedly,
we're getting to that. We'll talk about it.
Just to have it not count when I capture the
We're going to
chicken.
talk about it. But first, I want to bring this other part up because this is something that you probably don't know or care too much about, but I want to let people know about the golden bananas because it's just a crazy thing that happened. For those that don't, by the way, that was the end of the community day thing. It's going on January 30th. I'm glad that we've got 2 weeks worth of notice. I kind of have issues with it. I think they can still tweak it. And I hate the fact that I'm going to have to babysit my ledger leaderboards at the end of the month again. I'm
going to have a fun time on the Alliance server, raking in some money.
God, some days you just make me hate you so much.
I'm just going to make so much money by just
sailing. What's that? I think our call's disconnecting. I can't hear you anymore. Going in of thing podcasting.
Oh, you guys heard it now. Unfortunately, Logan
Golden Bananas
disconnected. So this is back to my show
Golden
again.
Bananas.
I knew I would. The mutiny has succeeded.
Have you heard of the quest for the Golden Bananas? This was something that...
No.
Okay, so back in March of 2018, let me take you on a little adventure here. We were doing open betas for Sea of Thieves. We had just had Order of Souls opened up to the beta, and we were just going out and killing skeleton captains for like the first time. We were so excited. And Xbox announced a quest for the Golden Bananas, which was an ARG that set up the community, speaking of community, to try and figure out this huge long quest line for Sea of Thieves. This was something that in the reward for these was a set of 4 bananas that are 18 karat gold that have a printed rare Reaper's mark on them. This was something that was a treasure hunt that was organized by Microsoft and Rare. It brought in the character Umbra. So if you know Umbra from Laguna Whispers, this is where she came from. It was an actress that was dressed up, and the whole point of it was to kind of give these ARG quests to people so that if a crew came together and figured these all out, the people that won it would earn the Golden Banana Sales, a full set of the Black Dog set, but as a yellow version of it, so that only people that won this contest would have these banana versions of the Black Dog set, which was a pre-order bonus for Sea of Thieves, and these 4 bananas. These 4 bananas, coincidentally enough, which was a community-driven event, are now being sold for $34,000 on French eBay from one of the people that earned these. So the thing that was a hallmark of the community coming together and winning a contest
is going to be a hallmark of the community coming together again as everyone subscribes to Logan's Patreon so he can get the 34,000 gold, real money to get the gold bananas. All right, guys, subscribe, become a top tier patron so that Logan can keep the podcast going. He cannot continue unless he's basking in the aura of those bananas as light reflects off of them and just gives him energy. He needs it to continue the podcast.
It's true.
Do you like this podcast? Then you have a moral obligation to top tier on Patreon. He just added a new $34,000 tier that will get your name read at the end of the podcast.
For eternity. I will get your name tattooed on my shoulder. I will take part of that 34,000 and tattoo your name on my shoulder. Together.
Listen, do you you can spend $7.99 on enough V-Bucks to get a samurai cat, yes, or you could give that $7.99 to Logan. Everyone make your choice.
So this kind of hits hard for me. This is one of those things. The value for this is a little higher than what the actual value of the gold is, but dude, I don't know, man. Like I understand where we were talking a little bit before we started recording. You said that you would rather have the money, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because I'm not crazy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. I am crazy. I'm
also very poor. That's probably
I'm also very poor. That is not the case. As much as I would love to have, 34 grand, because it would take care of, the car that I have to figure out later on this week. I would love to have these. My wife would probably steal away with these and tell me that I have to get rid of them. But I would love to have these golden bananas. But it's such a pain point, dude, especially on the announcement of them saying that they're going to celebrate the community, that the community throws it back in their face by saying, we're going to sell the very, very valuable bananas that you gifted us for completing an ARG at the launch of the game.
It was years ago. It's time to let go. Don't hang on to things. Listen, also, here's another reason why I don't like to own anything that's expensive. One, I break everything I have. So I can't be like, oh no, I scratched my car. No, I kick my car to show people I don't care. It's an old car. It's going to break down one day. All right, the most expensive thing I own for a long time was my couch. Ooh, okay, I guess you could steal that. Don't have anything to steal. The neighborhoods I have lived in most of my life, most of my adult life, are neighborhoods you don't want to have anything that people go look through the window and go, I want that. I have none of that.
That's fair.
Don't have things around that can be stolen. Don't do that. No, be poor and then show it. That's what I say.
I am poor because I like to spend money on big stuff that I can say that my wife will still use. So, but yeah. Anyway,
to take the words of John Panette, many people, how people say we were poor and we didn't know it. We were certain of it.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that's kind of the main news for this week. I did mention again, the person that went and did the Sea of Thieves, Wanda's workshop in Lego is back at it again. They made a sloop. It looks amazing. I absolutely love this. I think they are doing a great job. They really go over and submit yours if you want to do this. But seriously, this person is doing the Lord's work as far as making Sea of Thieves and Lego a thing. And I will spend the money on that because that is almost as valuable as golden bananas. Almost.
Gaming paraphernalia is a weird thing because you find something you're interested in. Oh, you got all the Sea of Thieves stuff. I'm like, what? And I look over here, here's this StarCraft thing I bought because that's the game I care about. I've bought exactly one physical collector's edition in my life, and that was a Homeworld thing. It came with a little Homeworld plastic model of one of the ships.
That's so funny.
Super awesome, cool. But the problem with our hobby is that many of us have nowhere to put it. And sometimes the stuff isn't display worthy. I like this, but it's a plasticky, it's like displaying a figurine you bought at Toys R Us. Why would you do this? Yeah. And having to spend all the money to figure out a way to display it. Maybe if you were wealthy and you had a gaming room or stuff like this. But for most of us, we don't know what to do with this stuff. It ends up just cluttering our desk or being put in boxes.
Yeah. It's a weird kind of cyclical circle of wanting to buy stuff and not knowing what to buy, and then buying the thing that we love at the time and then putting it up on the shelf to make us feel better about our purchases.
anyone who buys a physical item instead of a digital one, I feel has moved way beyond me. And I wish I could ascend to your level of intelligence and good financial decisions.
Right.
I have a lot of Team Fortress 2 hats, and you can't wear them all at once, especially if you haven't played the game in 3 years.
There's one person who might be listening to this that would be very upset with you. Super Spruce is the person who created the Wanda's Workshop. They're at it again. I'll put a link into the show notes for the what is it called? The Lego ideas. To make sure that if you want to support them for the Wanda's Workshop, you can go and support them for the sloop as well. The sloop is actually really cool, dude. I'm not gonna lie. The top deck can be pulled off so that you can actually see like the mast and the barrels and the cooking station and stuff in the bottom deck. I love it. I think it's really well done. But yeah, so that's out there available. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else. That was it.
Lego stupid. Where are my Connects boys?
Get out of here with your Connects.
All right, Connects game. Am I right, boys? Connects gang.
Negative.
Let's build that roller coasters. The big ball machine. Crank it. Drop a few extra bucks to get the automatic motor. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's bad. Don't do that. That's so bad.
Yes, Connect. I have boxes of Connects for my children to play with. I did get a vasectomy, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them anymore, but I have boxes of my Connects from when I was a kid, like those big Rubbermaid containers.
Didn't we just talk about the fact that you have resolved to buying stuff for yourself that was basically like Toys R Us plastic?
No. I said I wish I could ascend there. At no point in my life do I think I will ever actually do things that will make me happy. I'll never make that decision.
Well, you did say that you wanted to be on this podcast for a reason, so hopefully that makes you happy. But what was the reason that you wanted to come on?
Well, as those of you, which would have to be everyone, I'm sure, who listened to the last time I was on, 3 months ago, I was a little down on myself, how I felt, how the podcast went, and I'm ready to move on, Logan. I felt like I've gotten a creative rut with this show where I would just come back and talk about the same thing every time. So I'm bringing it back to when I first came on, and I brought a topic for us to talk about, and for me to yell at the community about. And so I've brought a new topic here today that would still allow us to talk about some of the new things that's come.
Oh, okay.
And that topic is focusing on improvement versus focusing on new things. This is happens in everyone's life and is very vibrant in the gaming sphere. And I think this update in particular has presented us a great opportunity to talk about it.
It's also
in this
kind of nice.
In this update, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
I wanted to jump on this because I think right now being, the beginning of the new year is a great reason for us to look at improving ourselves over getting new stuff.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at you tied it in even better. I love it. So in this update, we got a lot of some quality of life updates as opposed to brand new things. While we got brand new things, I think, we'll talk more about it, but here we can see kind of the balance of how we got it in this update. And maybe that'll help, mold our discussion about this topic. So in this update, some of the quality of life things that we got was improved island navigation with those elevators and other such things to help you get around some of the bigger islands or the more harder to navigate islands.
Did you see the one that was on Old Faithful Island? The elevator that they put in there?
Is this? Yes, I think this is the cage.
It's just a prison cage. It's brilliant.
Pretty cool.
So well themed.
I love it. Very good. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great one. We got the best thing in the world ever, which is the ability to move crates into and out of resources into and out of a crate and barrels in between them. Oh, that is so awesome, dude! I freaking love it.
It's really nice.
We've talked about, I know, many times about how Sea of Thieves does or doesn't respect our time. And this is a great step forward into respecting our time. The amount of time I'd be like, all right, guys, well, Logan, you say elsewhere to go. I'm going to go manage our resources and I'm going to spend the next 20, because we did a flame heart. So we've got 19 storage crates. Let me go organize them now.
Oh my God. It's so much easier when you just grab a crate and shove it in front of the other crate and be like, and just dump it all into the other one.
Delicious. Absolutely love it. If I could, Like every true Sea of Thieves player. Hey, I like this. Can I have more, please? If I could make a small suggestion, while I'm holding a crate and I go up to take something or interact with a barrel, if you could tell me if that barrel was empty. It doesn't tell you while you're holding the crate. So I don't know if like, oh, is my crate full and I'm not taking everything out of there because I had a pineapple taking up a slot and now I'm not getting all the wood out of there or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if the barrel I'm interacting with is empty or not.
Yeah, this was some feedback that I gave to Rare last time I got an opportunity to talk to them because I've always wanted like something that's big and visual, like a big red X whenever a barrel's empty, so that even though I read the text that's on it, it doesn't mentally register the word that I just read because I didn't actually read it. I just saw the word and I ignored it and then I tried to get something.
Not a bad suggestion at all.
But yeah.
Other quality of life things we've got in this update, seagulls above Megalodon and Kraken. Who hasn't suggested that at one time or the other? Their loot, I should say. Mm-hmm. Though it would be cool to see seagulls just above a Megalodon as it circles.
Yeah. I would like that loot better though, because that loot is poo-poo right now.
That's the case. I don't know. Is it true or not that the more rare the Megalodon, the better the loot pool?
I have not seen anything to that effect as far as any kind of research.
That'd be cool too.
I think the loot pool is just pretty random. I think the trouble is that as a sloop, when you get hit by a Kraken, you kill 2 tentacles and then it's done. So you get like 3 pieces of loot and a couple chunks of meat, and it's like that was not worth the amount of time it took for you to stop my ship in the middle of this giant inky pool, only for me to murder 2 things. I got slapped once and that was it. That was not worth the time invested. That was not an experience.
I have said before, and I don't know if I've said it here publicly, but that the Kraken fight on a sloop it needs a little tweaking, make it a little harder.
Yeah, that's always been the argument with the Kraken, man. Every time the Kraken difficulty has come up, it is always wrapped around this idea of like it needs to be harder, there needs to be a head, the pool of loot that you get needs to last longer, which they did actually fix. They did actually make it so that the loot doesn't start the timer to sync until after the Kraken is defeated, which I do appreciate that.
Here's a little Sea of Science. True or false, Logan? The sync timer for loot that goes into the water when your ship sinks versus when you have dropped loot into the water is different.
It should be the same. Shouldn't be any different.
Correct. It is the same. You were correct. I sat on a rowboat for like, I don't remember how it was, like 15 minutes to test.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be and
then I also tested like 3 different other ways it could go in the water. All the same.
Yeah.
Here's one that you may not have noticed because it was a ninja update. They didn't put it in the notes.
How dare they?
When you open up your quest radial, you have things like, depending on your keybinds, voyages, throwables, more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have in your hand a cannonball or some other thing that can be loaded into the cannons, a new one appears right under throwables. It says cannonballs. You select that, you get the radial that you would get while you're on a cannon. So everything can be loaded in a cannon. Curse balls, flame, blunt. I don't remember about flame or blunders, but fireworks, flares, all that stuff that can be loaded.
So what you're saying is instead of having to interact with the actual cannon, you can pull out the cannon or the cannonball type that you want prior.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that was not mentioned.
But that menu, that option only appears if you're holding something that can be done with a cannonball. So usually you just use the radial, pick cannonball, and then you can use the radial again and pick.
See, that's a problem because for me, the way I have to do that was just go into the actual like tab menu and go to my equipment to see it, or just hit the hotkey.
Yes.
If I hit the hotkey for cannons or cannonballs, which I think it's like 3 or 4 on my keyboard. If I hit that, I can cycle through it the way I can cycle through like instruments, which was the only way that I could.
I never really noticed that.
Yeah, like if you hit the I key on the keyboard, you can cycle through your instruments, and if you hit the food key or the cannonball key, you can cycle through what you have in your inventory.
What does mouse wheel do?
It cycles through your weapons.
Just weapons?
Yeah.
It'd be cool if it cycled through whatever you were
Which, by
holding.
the way, I'm going to throw this out right now. I was talking to Davram yesterday when we were sailing, and I think if we had taken out the ability to cycle your weapons through the mouse wheel, I don't think that we would have ever had to have fixed double guns. Because that was the thing that people were doing. They were mouse wheel scrolling through Blunder or through Eye of Reach and Flintlock and killing someone instantly. And if they didn't have that mouse scroll ability, I think that would have probably fixed it, because they would have had to hit the actual weapon buttons, which is on par with what.
Maybe that's why I could never master double gunning, because I was always using 1 and 2.
Maybe.
Maybe I should use scroll wheel.
That was the thing.
Some other quality of life updates we got with this. Here's another Ninja one. Hold to take is sped up. What I mean by that is, for a keyboard anyway, if you hold F, I believe, while you're going into a barrel, you just take it all. It used to be really slow. Now it zips right through. Nowadays, I just hold. Usually you could spam F faster than it would take if you held it. Now you just hold it, and it's so fast.
So you're
great Ninja update.
So you're in just. I want to make sure that this is clear for people that don't know, because I want to make sure I'm clear about it as well too. You're talking about when you actually go into a barrel and there's stuff you want to take out of it. Instead of spamming the F key, you just press F to grab all of it, and that's faster.
Right, hold F.
Or hold F. Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And it'll take everything that you can take.
Hopefully that's clear enough.
Enemies that use a gun dropping ammo pouches is stellar. Allows you to really makes guns more viable versus PvE.
You know, it was a weird thing. We were killing skeleton ships the other day, and I gotta say, I really hate when a skeleton ship sinks. And you know, when a skeleton ship sinks and all of the skeletons on the ship explode. Now there's like 50 freaking ammo pouches sitting.
That's amazing.
So now
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that might need a quick change.
So that maybe if the ship despawns because it sinks, maybe not have those skeletons spawn ammo pouches. I don't know.
That's great. That's funny. Unintended things you don't think about. The robo can dock in either direction, which combined with a thing we'll talk about later is a nice little quality of life thing. And then lots of fixed issues. You love to see it. The fishing rod line being different than what casted out than what was on the model was annoying me for almost a year. And now that's actually the same, that makes me so happy. But tons of stuff was fixed. If I can also dig at Rare for a second, their list of known issues is bad, and I wish it was better. Yeah, I don't need to hear for the 900th time how hit reg isn't good. How about you talk about some of the issues that we've been experiencing since these things came out, like, the Chest of Sorrows, if you're on a ladder, it doesn't fill your ship. I don't know if it still works where if you harpoon it on your robo, it won't fill your ship. You can get on a sloop ladder from inside, which instead of fixing, they just disabled the ladder and the in-between when you're in the tall tales. Oh my gosh, just fix it. Many ladders you could just jump on instead of climbing. How about escape is back? Should be a setting that actually works with escape is back. They actually may have fixed. I think I tested the other day. I think they actually fixed that. Maybe not. How about supply crates and shipwrecks should have stuff in them? How about when two people mount the same cannon sometimes and one person's like, why can't I use it? Oh wait, it's because I'm merging. Our bodies have merged in some cross the streams Ghostbusters garbage. How about the rowboat bug where all of a sometimes when I just take it off my ship, it's like, hey, you can't use this anymore and you're vibrating, huh? How about I can perform emotes with the fishing rod? I like that one. Don't get rid of that. The Reaper's Hideout title card comes 19 miles away from the island. Maybe it's just from the east, but I get that title card and I have another hour or two before I get to that island.
There's a theory about that actually. Because the island, wherever the island geometry hits in the world is when you get that title card. So the theory right now is that there's a huge underground labyrinth that is underneath Reaper's Hideout, and that's why it because it's so far out is why it hits so early.
I am so angry at the recent Christmas stream. I know it's a surprise if you can take it aback enough to believe it. That they put sound effects for opening up that Reaper's trap door when they did the orb stream, because for the longest time I'd be like, oh, I can't wait till we get a tall tale where that opens. And my argument or my response was always, can we just have nice things without Rare having to think about, oh no, we have to implement this in some way? Can't you just have a cool say a lighthouse, without thinking about how can this lighthouse have a mechanic? Can't it just be a cool thing in the world? Can't you just have a cool trapdoor without thinking we have to one day go in it? And then now they're like, oh, we've opened it. Come on, Rare. I'm fighting for you.
Okay. First off, I want a lighthouse that actually works, whether I can go into it or not. And two, I really do. I think that that's a good thing. I think that it's nice. I mean, you want something like that. That's fine. You got it. There's an upstairs to a tavern that is not accessible. It's fine. You already have that. There's amazing. A door that is being leaned up against by the mysterious stranger in the tavern that it just opens up to the back of the tavern. There's nothing behind that. It's the back of the tavern. So it's... And
I don't even think there's a door on the outside in that spot, is there?
No, there is. There is. It leads to nothing.
All right.
I mean, there's a hidden compartment on the back of the galleon that no one can access because it's walled up.
That's true.
There's plenty of stuff.
My point is, you don't want it to be restrictive. You want Rare to be able to put whatever art they want without, if you have everything must have a function, then you've restricted what you can and can't do. Oh, we wanted to add this cool thing. Oh, but people were going to want to be able to control the lighthouse.
Oh, trust me.
No lighthouse.
As someone who's still wanting the galleon doors to work, there are plenty of things that they have put into the game that don't have a purpose.
That's great. Other things that everyone knows is an issue that still haven't even been listed is when you try to go up a ladder and you start from the top of a ladder, you go down a little bit first. It's like an animation garbage. The new voyages don't count towards the buy 250 voyages achievement.
The new voyages don't count towards anything.
Allied flags on brigs on the map have a weird line at the end, like they're in the, like the cursor's still there and you're ready to type.
No, that's a transparency issue on the actual thing. Like that can get.
Oh, it's an issue. So like you would call maybe a known issue that you could put in the known issues.
I don't know
list?
if it's known. I don't know if they notice it.
Animals often get stuck in animation when you put them on certain anchor points.
If you don't alliance with ships, you never have to see it.
Is a bug really a bug if you can just not do it?
Yeah, don't alliance.
If you turn off season notifications, it turns off event notifications. The Order of Souls crew accommodation is bugged all heck. There's a million things we've all known about for a long time. Never shows up on the list of known issues. I've spent a lot more time saying how I didn't like it than what I do like is that tons of fixed issues every patch, and I love that. Or every major patch.
Yeah. There's
so now.
Oh, I was just going to say, there's a lot of stuff that did come in that did get fixed that was really nice. But I do 100% agree that there are a large list of what should be known issues that are just not listed because there's no way to track that stuff. And if they aren't tracking it in the patch notes, how much effort is going into tracking it in the actual builds.
Yeah. So those are a bunch of the quality of life updates we got. We also got some, and I'd kind of wrap this in with the quality of life updates, immersive updates. I'm a role player at heart, even if it's like light RP, like speaking like a pirate sometimes while I'm sailing. I love this kind of stuff. So the more stuff they throw
getting fake mad on podcasts.
Yeah, well, interesting adjective there. Can't confirm or deny whether or not this is fake. But when you can whisper now by turning the trumpet around, which is an amazing cartoon logic. PCs now move their lips when they're talking. Tori and I used this right away when the update came out. We were working together to get some of those burying achievements. Because just she doesn't use Discord much, so we use the in-game chat. It's great. Sitting and sleeping was added. Sitting is a really cool immersive things. That was on one of my top 10 lists, you might recall, being able to sit in all the chairs around, and now you can. I think that's great. There's things like you could sit in the Reaper's Hand at Reaper's Outpost, Reaper's Hideout. That's great. I wonder what other playful seats there are.
There's a ton.
Hasn't found.
There's an absolute.
Oh yeah, can you think of any?
Yeah, there's a rock there's like an edge of the rock on Shipwreck Bay that is up at the top pinnacle of Shipwreck Bay. There's a point that looks out towards Reaper's Hideout in the spire. That is kind of tucked against the side of a rock face, like it's an open drop, and there's a rock right next to it, but you sit down on the actual ledge on Shipwreck Bay.
That's nice.
But there's nothing that indicates it unless you just happen to be at that spot and you happen to notice that you can sit down there. That's a lot of stuff like that I found around. That's just one example, but there's a ton of places that are places like that you can sit down that not many people have really posted about. Everyone's kind of done the typical like, oh, I'm sitting on the Smuggler's Bay, or oh, I'm sitting on the mast on Reapers, or not Reapers, what is it, the Spire, Sea Dog Tavern. You know, everyone's got kind of the main ones that they've thought about. But there's a lot out there that I found, like on Marauder's Arch and Shipwreck Bay, things like that.
That's cool. I love that. There's in I forget which fort, there's a chair up in a spot you can't normally reach. Like any parkour can't get you up there. Sword dashing, everything. But I used the height, the extra height I got from an explosive barrel to get me up there. And you couldn't sit in that chair where you missed one. You should have considered, what if somebody used a explosive barrel to increase their height? You didn't think about that, did you? All right. It's because you're bad at your job. Come on, get better, Rare.
Oh my God.
Come on. I thought you actually cared about this community. And that chair is going unsatin. How dare you? If I can be real mad instead of fake mad, which apparently I always am, Logan, you can't sit in the seats in Arena. Hey, why would they add the ability to sit in the seat in a spot that literally every player who's playing Arena has to be in and needs to pass the time in some way between a match? Why let that tavern full of chairs and even whole sections where there's no point to like the stage except to role play and have fun, and there's seats there? Why let us sit there? Why add that? How much harder can it have been to give Arena just the littlest of nod of, hey, you could sit in the chairs. Look, like we've added to the rest of the game.
I love you, but just like alliances, in the issue with the alliance flag and having the issue, if you don't play Arena, you don't have to worry about that.
I wonder if you can bury the chest
in Arena.
Yeah, I bet not.
Sure, you probably could.
What I need to do is fish up an Ashen Key in Arena, if you can, and see if you can bury that, and see if burying's disabled altogether or just for that chest.
Someone somewhere in the world is just looking at the map and being like, I don't know where the hell this is. Where the hell is this?
It's the only way you can bury something in the Pirate Legend hideout, I believe.
Is how?
Fishing up.
Oh, gotcha. That's what I was trying to figure out how you did it, because you were talking about how you could bury something in Pirate Legend Tavern, and it gave you a map for the Sea Dog Tavern, and I was so confused as to whatever the heck you were talking about. I was like, how did you even get something in there?
Well, people have long since theorized that the Pirate Legend Tavern was under the Sea Dogs Tavern. First, it was because they heard, cannonball shots while they were down there. Then somebody found that bug that shot them way up into the sky from the tavern, and where did it take you? It took you to the Sea Dog Island. And then now this just proves it even more. That when you put it down, it shows you the map. It's because you're underneath that.
Well, island. A lot of the stuff is centered around Sea Dog, because that's the safest point. It's like 0-0 for the map.
It's where you get I don't know, I haven't seen it happen recently, but all the time I would get like a bunch of shipwreck floating items would be there, and you would hear like lightning from a storm. I remember you and I, not a real argument, but we were like yelling at each other. I'm like, I'm in the storm. He's like, you're like, I'm in the storm and you're not here. I could see you're to the right, where everything you describe is that you're to the east. The storm is to the west. Stop saying you're in the storm. And I'm like, Logan, I can hear lightning. I'm in the storm. The storm has to be near me. I'm hearing lightning. We figured out that there's just, for some reason, you hear lightning at that spot.
Yeah.
That's a weird bugged spot. I don't know what it's like when one of the first things you learn if you're in any sort of security class for computer science is SQL injection, where you enter in your username and password, it gets put right into code, so you can just write SQL code and then hit where the password should be or the username and hit enter, and then you can run code on someone else's server. That's what this is. Like, for some reason, 0-0 has a bunch of unintended things where it's like, oh, well, we've got to throw it at 0-0. There's nowhere else to put it.
Yeah. Or it gets removed somehow, like it's, code gets adjusted and they change something and the default location is 0-0 if it doesn't have like a proper location. All kinds of weird stuff like that. Ahoy there, pirates. This is the ad for this episode, and I did want to let you know if you wanted to avoid these and just get a regular filler, you can head over to the Patreon. There's a special feed just for patrons that get the ad-free version. If you want to keep listening, though, I can't say I blame you, because this week I want to let you know about Loot Crate and getting 15% off of most crates and crate subscriptions when you use the link and code RobotsRadio in the show notes. Also, you can head over to audiobooks.com, get your first 3 audiobooks for free, and that can include any 2 VIP books, or use the affiliate link for Green Man Gaming. If you're a PC gamer or you'd like to save money on games, it's one of the benefits of being a PC gamer. Head over to Green Man Gaming. You can get codes for Steam, Epic, any of the different stores that they have deals going on. They have deals going on all the time, and if you plan on buying there, please consider using our affiliate link. All of that goes straight to me through the network. Thank you all so much for everything that you do to support this podcast. It means the world to me, and I continue to try and improve the quality and the content for you. With that, pirates, let's get back to the show.
And if I can also say, I know, listen, I'm not 7, and there's plenty of young people that play this game. I know, because my heart breaks when I watch people make YouTube videos where they make like kids cry when they're playing Sea of Thieves because they're awful people. There's just like fart humor. I don't like when my character's sleeping in the bed, hearing them fart and stuff. I'm like, what? Or when the stupid dog pees. I'm just not into that humor, but that's just me. Plenty of people.
That's such a random thing.
It's not like no one's ever made a fart joke before.
So random. All right.
We're talking about sitting and sleeping. Don't tell me it's random.
No.
You fart in your sleep. It's weird.
It's just a weird thing to take umbrage with.
Well, that could be. That could be the title of my autobiography.
I don't appreciate this lowbrow humor in this pirate game I'm playing. God forbid we have a small sense of lowbrow humor in this teen game where we get drunk.
I never liked it.
I puked on someone yesterday, and I don't want to fart in my sleep.
I've done exactly one episode where we used blue humor in my podcast. We said, all right, this is the one episode we can do.
Is that better than brown humor?
It was the episode I talked about a surgery I had. And so we did a bunch of dumb jokes about private parts. It was really funny, and I'm so good at blue humor.
But not in your game.
We also... No, get it out of there. Get it out of my podcast. It's literally in one episode. Rats, we see rats, nice little immersive thing. We get fireworks, the fact that fireworks reflect in water. I remember watching their update video talking about how that was a special thing they had to do on purpose, because normally effects, I forget what they called them, certain type of effects don't reflect in water, but they made sure that these do. That's pretty cool. And you get the holiday decorations. We even saw it in Arena, probably because they just had to hit a toggle from when they last built it in Arena last Christmas. But anyway, still, we got to see all the Christmas effects. Yeah. Love holiday decorations. All nice immersive things. And then now, we've looked at the improvement. Remember the theme here, improvement versus new. And now we're going to look at the new things that this update gave us. New tools like flares. Really cool, great idea. Love. I've long since wished I could communicate with allies, in natural alliances, being able to shoot up a red flare and hopefully that communicates, hey, I'm in trouble, I need help, or getting light on a dark island at night. They don't last quite long enough for me to use them to light up islands. I wish it lasted a little bit longer. And night doesn't last long anyway, so that kind of negates it as well, or makes it less appealing. But it's a great idea. Love that. We're a great tool.
Can I share a quick little story about the flares?
I give you permission.
Okay.
Yes.
I was sailing with Davern.
Just this once.
Okay. I was sailing with Davern yesterday, and a skelly sloop spawned on us as we were heading to go take down a brig that we saw that was flying an Athena flag emissary. The skeletons that were on there were shadow skeletons, and it was dark enough to where we couldn't damage them with fire, and it was really annoying me. So I shot up a white flare to kind of like illuminate them to get access to, being able to do that, because I couldn't do it any other way. And it worked, but the brig that was at Galleons that was going to try and turn in shot up a white flare as well too, because Davern looked at me and he was sitting there and he's like, dude, that thing went far. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, that flare went really far. And I'm like, where? And I saw that it was the brig that had fired it off. And we sunk the skeleton galleon, or the skeleton sloop. And I was like, I'm going to shoot a red flare. And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, I shot a white flare for the sake of the skeletons, and they shot a white flare in an assumption, I think that we were being peaceful. So I'm going to shoot a red flare to let them know I'm not peaceful. So I shot up the red flare, and sure enough, the brig comes sailing towards us, and we start in an hour-long fight.
Oh my god!
And it was a great thing. But I was like, I didn't think about how flares don't really get used too often, but it was definitely one of those moments where I was like, you know what? I feel like my intentions were conveyed in a wrong way. So I'm gonna fix that. And sure enough, I shot up the red flare, and they came towards us.
I think as time goes on and the community sort of agrees to what things mean, that'll be like. I was hoping that would happen with Tall Tale. Like if we put up a certain flag, it always means Tall Tale.
Yeah,
that didn't really happen. But some things were quite obvious. Like, Reaper's flag probably means come fight me. Reaper's mark, I mean. So I think eventually we'll agree. Do we see a white flare? That probably doesn't mean anything for me. Do I see a red flare? That means I need help if we're in an alliance, or I need a fight.
What's
I want
an
to fight
alliance?
you if we're not in an alliance. It's a weird thing that there should be patched out of the game. No one uses it. It's a thing that makes it so that you can't use your normal flag. It's what it is. I think as time goes on, we might all sort of begin to agree what these mean. And if we can do that, I think flares will be immensely useful.
That's the key.
Great way. We need to be able to communicate across, big distances with other ships.
Yeah.
I think. Sometimes, like, here's one thing we all agree on. If you see cannons pointed straight up, all of the cannons pointed straight up, usually that means that ship that's coming right at you isn't looking for a fight. They just want to, do whatever other thing peaceful, talk to you about. I want to do Glitterbeard or whatever they're doing. Like, we all agreed that's what that meant.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some really good ones like that in the game in the past. People have tried to troll it, but having your cannons up has definitely been a very clear indication that there's no way you're going to easily fire upon me. I think red flare would definitely be a really good way, and they tried to do this in the video that they put out. They tried to say like, hey, warn your teammates if something is going on with a red flare. But the problem is that there's nothing too loud. If you're not looking or thinking about a red flare, why isn't it easier just to say, hey, someone's coming, as opposed to firing off a red flare? But using a red flare to indicate that you're hostile near another ship is definitely an easy thing to say without having to be within shouting distance.
Right.
So I kind of like that. But that was my story. Sorry. I knew I sidetracked you, but I had to share that.
No, it's perfect. That's
I know you hate stories,
about, isn't it? Let me tell you. Oh, dang, you cut me off. You got to it before I could. I love that they affect shadow skeletons. Great, nice little touch. To finish the gaming mantra of thank you, I want more. It'd be cool if the white flare would make vulnerable the white skeletons, the white shadow skeletons, and if the red flare made vulnerable the red shadow skeletons. It's such a niche thing. Of course, you're not going to spend time on it. Still, would be a nice little touch.
Interesting.
New tool we got also is the cannon rowboat. Oh, did your ship sink? But you know that ship is 1 or 2 shots away from sinking too. You've got your cannon rowboat now, or for the other million reasons you can use a cannon rowboat. Pretty cool little thing. I really like the idea of now you have a second cannon on the sloop. We've all been asking for that. How come a galleon has 4 people, 4 cannons? My sloop only has 2 people, 1 cannon. Now you can have 2 people, 2 cannons on one side. Anyway.
I mean, the brig doesn't
it's got
have
a limited range,
3.
but still it's something.
But I mean, the brig never had 3 cannons.
Yep, and now the brig gets 3. So now we're all on even.
I think the agreement here is that we should just say that the galleon is just a little too high powered. But okay, so
you don't have 3 cannons. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, because it also has a second deck, and the second deck affords more time and is harder to sink as a result. Like they have more opportunity to save it.
Some people say that, but in my experience as a triumphant sea dog, my experience is that the second deck is might as well be the top deck. If water gets to the second deck, you're sunk.
It depends. It depends on the fight and how long.
Can you remember the last time you were in a galleon, water got to the second deck, and you only had like 1 hole and you were fine?
Yeah, I've saved second deck.
It's always full of holes because people constantly, like, half their shots actually get to the bottom deck, and the other half are the middle deck.
Yeah, but
so your middle deck's always full.
I've been able to save second deck ships in the past. It's not that bad, and that was not with like double bucketing or anything, because I never even knew that was a thing before. So I've definitely done it. It just requires a lot of coordination and a lot of people playing on top of their game.
You remember playing with my friend Bolty?
Yeah, I remember Bolty. Bolty was great.
Yeah, he would keep training for the double bucket, and even when the they said, "Oh, we're gonna patch this soon," he'd be like, "I could keep training for it though." And I'm like, "It's going away in like a week," and he's like, "Well, it's a week. I could still be double bucketing." While we were sailing, he would just put water in there just so he can keep practicing. He's always trying to get better.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Bolty. I love you and you're precious, and I wish that our schedules could meet up more. I tell you, no one told me that when I would switch from a night shift to a day shift, I would lose all my friends. Because I met them, we all had this untraditional, I suppose to say, or less common schedule. If we're awake at 3 p.m., we haven't gotten off of work till this time, and now they're all asleep while I'm awake, and I'm awake while they're asleep. Oh, what a shame.
Yep. I feel the same way about working afternoon shifts because I'm always awake at 3 a.m. and everyone's already in bed.
The last new tool we got, and maybe the marquee one, burying, being able to bury loot, put your maps up, steal maps, all that sort of thing, all new tools. So I think we could all agree that this was mostly an improvement targeted update. And even so, the new things that are new are niche. Flares, cannon robots, a very new addition. Cannon robots, burying, especially burying, very niche, new, interesting, and very new. Sometimes like buryings is completely different than things we've had before. Still niche. Mm-hmm. So that's why I think we've seen a lot of the discussion around this update come up with this whole new versus improvement topic. And so like burying isn't quite as world changing as sirens and shrines is for example. So I want to hear your thing to start off the discussion, Logan. I'm always for going back and making everything the best it can be. It's been like 3 years since I've released a new Trailblazers episode because I want to go back and bring the old episodes up to par. So I'm always for fixing those and improving the things that are already in the game. Always for that. But my question to you, and the question this whole community I think has really been talking about recently, is what's better? Getting the new bombastic updates and changes and tools and items and quests and whatever content, or improving the old content that's already there?
Oh, man. That's let me think about that, because that's a tough question, because if things go in that direction for too long, then the content gets stale. But then you have to argue, like, is the game good enough without new content? The guns and world in PUBG stay the same, but at the same time they always refine, they always change the map or people always said that the only way Halo could survive is if it had a battle royale mode. They came back and they just made a really refined arena shooter. And, aside from matchmaking issues that they've recently had that they're working on, it's a really good testament to just having an arena shooter as a multiplayer. So I see arguments for both. If I had to pick one, it's going to be a very time-centric answer, and that's to have refinement right now. I would much rather have more improvements and refinery to refined measures brought to the game than new content right now. Because as much as I would love to have a whole bunch of new stuff, there's a huge list that I have that's always in front of me that I just keep adding to of stuff that I want brought to the game. But in its current state, I think having little things that enrich the game have always been the best updates. Aside from like Pirate's Life, because I think a Pirate's Life was just such a momentous thing for the game.
Sure.
But everyone,
to branch off of that or bank off of that, people talk about Pirate's Life as a great update. People talk about getting the shrines as a cool update. No one's going, hey, remember when they added sitting?
Yeah. That's the thing is it's the little things that enrich the game that aren't big marquees, which is always the argument to why they want to bring in new content, because there has to be a reason to bring players into the game. No one's going to come play the game because they're like, oh, fireworks are added. That's cool. I want to go play a Sea of Thieves pirate game because of fireworks. But it also makes a lot of people happy because they're just so beautiful. So it's a real hard thing to try and decide. Like I think there has to be a healthy balance. I think it can't just be one or the other. I think you have to have new content, but I think that new content has to be brought into account or into the game when the game is at a point where everyone is happy and it's the most stable. The fact that we have consistently had stability issues, bugs that aren't getting improved on, I think that stuff should take more priority than new content. I'm okay holding off new content until we're at a point where the game feels really, really tight. Because the looser it gets, the less, like, for example, November, I lost out on my Athena ledger because none of the stuff that I turned in for Athena that month or during a weekend when I worked really hard to do that counted. So now I'm behind. And that's not the first time that that's happened to just me. That's something that has happened with other people as well, too. So I think the game needs to get more stable before we get new stuff.
All right. Well, you have successfully navigated my trick question. The answer is, of course, both and. Like every question that has A or B, the answer is how about both, my dude?
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. The idea is that can we have a little bit with the one with the other?
Yeah.
Yes, give us, hey, cool, we've got, shrines and sirens. And also in this update, hey, we fixed a couple of these long running bugs that have been in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the answer. Otherwise you run to do you want new things to get me playing? And then the bugs stop me playing. Get me one to keep me playing, one to keep me going, make it fun to play. I've said on this podcast before how if I introduce somebody to this game, I always say one of the first things I say, you got to be aware there's bugs. You're gonna run into stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're gonna get really upset. Like I clicked that button, it didn't work. I need just be ready that that stuff's gonna happen. And a lot of times when you're ready for things, it softens. One of my
favorite.
It's the least interesting answer, but it is the right answer.
One of my favorite devs for Blizzard. He's a good guy and he loves this game. But it's his favorite game that he just does not recommend to people because the game is great. It's addicting. It's so much fun to play. You have such a good time in it. It's such a great place to play with friends, but he just can't recommend it because the game is just not in a stable state.
I can't believe you would bash World of Warcraft on your show like this.
I hate what they did to Sylvanas. It's such a travesty.
She's awesome. How dare you?
I think it's ridiculous that I even had a justification for the world tree the other day and I can't remember what it was and it kills me because it was such a good rationale that people were like, we're going to go and do a whole bunch of this and no one's going to bring that up. But God forbid one woman burns down an entire tree of people. I can't remember what it was. I really wish I could because that was such a good argument that I had. But anyway, but yeah, no, it's one of those moments where I love that they're bringing new content, but I think they need to take another. I really do love what Destiny does. And it's probably why I spend a lot of time playing theirs because each of their seasons has a theme, has a characters that they're bringing the story forward with. And you play throughout that season and in the season is measured as far as story goes. So like 1 week, it'll be this little bit. And then next week, something else will open up. And then the week after that, the story step after that will open up until you get to the end of the season when the whole story has been laid out week by week by week by week. You can still play catch up if you need to. There's nothing preventing you from waiting till the last week and banging it all out in one session, but it's going to be harder. It's much easier to do little by little by little. But every week brings something a little bit different during that season. And each season has its own process. Like, it has new events, it has new quests, it has new gear, all of that. And I want Sea of Thieves to get to that point. I want Sea of Thieves to have a season that is themed, that has story, that brings in like one tall tale. And that tall tale is slowly worked up till like midway of the season. And that way, like you have little story bits. And then every 3 weeks, you start doing the story bits until you get to the 4th week when the tall tale opens up. And then you get to play the tall tale for the rest of the season.
You've reminded me of something that I forgot to write down on my notes, and I'm so happy you brought up so I can yell at more people. And that is the whole idea of measure out my content for me.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not some fatty you need to put on a diet and make sure I eat only this much at this time, whatever. Frickin' the world, we're in a world where we can binge a show if we want and not binge it if we don't want. I binged most of Cobra Kai and said, I'm good for now. I'm going to finish it later. That was my choice. I don't need them to be like, it's coming out each week. I'm not saying it's not fun. And if you want to do that, that's fine. Book of Boba Fett, I'm watching every week as it comes out. There's something special about that. But give me the choice to do that. And I hate when people, I've heard many times, people on your Gold Hoarders episode, that's for those who don't know, that's what you call it, your patrons, when they get to come on once a month and talk about topics. A couple times they talked about, oh, I would like if, we got a tall tale every 3 weeks or something, or it progressively unlocked, because I just flew through these tall tales. That's your fault, my dude. If you want it to happen every 3 weeks, you have the power to do that, my dude. I can't stand that. Do not encourage Rare to hold things back from us that they have made just because you can't control yourself. That's awful. Anytime a gaming company is caught selling you something as DLC that's already on the disc, we go ballistic. Do not encourage them to hold back things that are already done for some other reason. I can't stand that.
I think the difference is the balance. Like, it's not so much about whether or not they're giving us content to play all at once or anything like that. It's like driving, like the whole point of the community update is to celebrate the community and to promote the game. That is the goal of the community update. They could easily have something like that if they took their content and like broke it up so that instead of giving all of the tall tales in once and everyone working on those because they're excited, like giving us a story to play through at, give us an opportunity, like have it accessible at a certain time so that you aren't necessarily having to feel like you have to get this all done or it's going to get spoiled. That's the thing is like, I would have hated,
That's true.
I would have hated if people had spoiled the end of Tall Tale 4 for me in A Pirate's Life. That would have been devastating because it was such an amazing moment, but I felt like I wanted to play through those right away. Had that had been something where that had come out weeks later and no one knew about it, then I would have been able to pace out the first 3 tall tales and not had to worry about like spoilers or anything because everyone would be doing it at the same time. That's the whole, like, you're watching Book of Boba Fett right now. It's coming out weekly. No one is spoiling the 5th episode right now for you because no one has access to it. So you don't feel like you have to worry about muting stuff. Like Horizon Forbidden West got leaked on PS4. It is out early. People could get spoiled on that, and that's not fair to them because they want to have a pure experience. So they have to go to the trouble of having to mute all this stuff on Twitter because they don't want to get spoiled on the story. And if everyone has access to everything, everyone's going to consume it at different times, which means that there's potential for spoilers for story moments, which is the whole point of the Tall Tales.
It's a strong point. Let me give everyone a small piece of advice from somebody you never want to listen to life advice from. If you are in a debate with somebody and they have a point that is true, but that backs their side, sometimes you feel the urge to like play it down, like yeah, whatever, but like just don't be on the internet or whatever, and you become an unreasonable person who loses all credibility. So don't fall into that. That's absolutely correct. Tori and I were like, I'm like, we need to go see Spider-Man soon because I'm on the internet, I see memes and people take screenshots and make memes and stuff and I'm going to get spoiled. So let's go see it soon so I can, be unspoiled. We're all about that. And that is a strong point. Just because there's a point that's strong, I don't think wins the entire debate. And I still don't think that we need to have things measured out for us arbitrarily when content's already finished. But that doesn't diminish that your point, I think, is still a strong one.
The other side of it comes down to quality of life. Tall Tale 1 was great. Tall Tale 2 broke the game. So if the content had been measured out, then there was a good opportunity for them to judge the server stability or the issues that might have arisen with Tall Tale 1 and 2 and prepared better for issues that might come up. Like they might have seen the popularity and the influx. They might have been able to do something to help out with how Tall Tale 2 broke the game essentially for a couple days there.
We put a nice little bow on this debate with like it's both and everyone held hands in harmony. But you've brought up a great point, which is it's not that simple. Hey, if there is new content coming out, guess what else is new? Bugs. And they want to address those bugs quickly. on the newest thing because that's what everyone's doing right now. So it can't be an equal measure of both things because with the new thing, they also need to figure out those bugs before they can get to the rowboat or whatever the heck is wrong.
Yeah.
It's not as clean as just doing both.
Which I'm hopefully if the devs are listening, this is the thing that they're just like shaking their head or clapping about because it's like, oh, hey, finally someone is actually realizing that it's not just that simple.
Yes. Let me hear something like devs are, and I think almost everybody who is community facing has this problem, which is there is just about zero incentive to communicate with your fans, consumers, because it will always be taken wrong, or people will go, "That's cool, I want more, more," and or it's chances for your intentions to be mixed up, for things to be taken out of context. It's almost always because the game designer, whatever his name is, the guy who's he does that stupid thing at the end of his everything. Joe Neat. Okay. Because Joe Neat once sent out a tweet that said you're gonna have 4 people on a sloop. Everyone's like, well, guess we never got that, huh? It's like you get punished for trying to communicate and be nice. Yeah. I totally feel for you there, and I'll continue to say, hey, can you please still communicate with me? But I totally understand if you don't, because you could just the risks outweigh the benefits, and it's on the internet. Inevitably, people will always read bad into the good you're saying. For example, what if I'm wrong? What if this community day really was just them trying to celebrate the community? And now I'm telling them, no, you're not. I'm questioning your intentions. I'm saying this is actually a selfish motive. They're like, I was just trying to. We sat in a room together and we tried to figure out, hey, how can we do an event to spice up mid-season? And now people are yelling at us and telling us our intentions are bad. That's what happens.
That right there is exactly the approach that I come to with almost everything I hear from the devs. Every time there has ever been anything that they talk about, I always want to approach it from the mentality as this was something they thought would be fun for the community, and look at it from that perspective, regardless of how it actually happens in the actual world, or how the community takes it.
There's a reason there's a twang to all my anger. Why you said, oh, is it fake anger or real anger? It's because I do have to recognize that maybe I'm wrong, so I can't actually be mad, and it's a video game.
Also,
so I can't actually be mad.
Also, it's a video game.
Also, it's a video game, so I can't really be mad at people who are making a game, and it's never enough. We're insatiable. So no matter what you do or what the game designers do, we'll always be like, oh, it's cool that we can sit. Hey, can I fish while I'm sitting? Why can't I fish while I'm sitting? This is so stupid. It's like, you guys couldn't sit before, you can now. Literally, there's no downside to this, and you're mad.
I see. That's where I don't think that people are too mad about that. Thankfully, I think it's one of those things where now that we see what's possible, now that we can, it's like living in a small town, in a small village in the countryside, and being taken up to the hill and seeing the beauty that is the huge metropolis that's out not that far from you, but you never knew it was there. But now that you know it was there, your goal line has changed. You can see what the future is. You have potential and possibilities. There's opportunity now. So that's where I see, like, when people know what they have, they're living in their little box and they know exactly what to expect. They lower their expectations, but as soon as those expectations get changed, it's because they were introduced to new information. And I think that is a good goal for people to have when they're actually, playing video games. If you are playing a game and you want to have something, you should speak up about it. And if you do get that thing, then you say, great, that's awesome. Now that we have that, I would also like to have this as well, because it's not necessarily like Rare is trying to build the game that the players want, but they also want to build the game that they want to build as well too. So they have to try and take these things into account. I think the new content that we get in is stuff that Rare wants to do. I think the quality fixes that we get is stuff that the community wants.
The Apostle Paul said, godliness with contentment is great gain. And as I've discovered, contentment without godliness is terrible, destructive.
Yeah.
Being able to be content is an amazing ability that can benefit you in life in way more ways than just video.
Well, I don't care about gold.
Whether or not you're yelling at a company. Gold, I don't know how much the Bible talks about just being wealthy is great gain.
Not that. You know what I mean.
I have a hard time though just giving companies the benefit of the doubt. I got
welcome to the internet.
Two things. One, just that we've all been hurt by companies, and we know that companies will put people secondary to profits all the time, and then we all got really burnt with Blizzard recently. So I don't know. It's just hard for me to be like, well, let's give the benefit of the doubt to Rare. And you want to, because especially with smaller companies that make games that were from your childhood, and you hear stories about what a not a struggle, what a uphill battle, getting the game out was, and how it was a burden of passion, what's the word of that? Whatever. That they were very passionate, a labor of love is what I'm trying to say. To do it, and you're like, oh man, I'm rooting for them, and they make things that were part of your memories. I just played Donkey Kong Country 2 on the Switch, and things like Banjo-Kazooie, and you love them, and you don't want to think that they've become corporate. But as time goes on, and now you have one of the marquee Microsoft games, as I understand it, and the company gets bigger and bigger, and then they add things like microtransactions and things like this. It's just hard to believe that Rare's that thing that you want to keep rooting for. And sometimes, I lean towards it's hard to give the benefit of doubt to a company, especially as the company gets bigger.
It's tough because companies are made up of people, and those people should be rewarded for their efforts. But how do you reward those people if you don't, it's not like devs are going to start coming up with a Patreon so that you can support the dev while they build this thing. Like,
especially when you hear so many stories of like, oh, were you not still at the company when the game came out? Your name's not in the credits.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Yeah. Or you were just an intern. You didn't work this certain amount, so you don't get the bonus for the game that launched that was super successful. Sure. Even though the main animations that you did are, what are the most front-facing thing that the gamer sees.
Halo Infinite had a ton of that stuff with Microsoft's policy about what do you call third party to people?
Contractors, subsidiaries.
Yeah, just what awful stuff like that coming out. But to navigate us back, to take the wheel away from the storm and get us straight to our destination. This whole talk about new versus improvement. Another kind of culmination is you often hear the question, would you rather them complete cosmetic sets or add new cosmetics? I think that's a branch of the same thing. We should get a healthy dose of both, in my humble opinion. There's a lot of sets out there. I'm like, man, I was trying on the new, I think you were there with me, I think, or maybe it was Tori, and I put on the level 100 Grimm's jacket, and I'm like, man, if I had rest of the Jade set, that would go really well with this.
Yeah.
But we don't have it.
That.
I wish they completed that set. But we all love the new stuff. We want to see the new stuff, and you just need a healthy thing of both.
Yeah,
and I think it helps because if you have half the people who really want you to complete, like I'm really more on the side of, can we at least complete the old stuff? And half people that just want new stuff, you can make them both happy by being in the middle. But I'm still waiting for my Frostbite Lantern Rare.
Oh, I wanted to bring that up. Did you buy the Frostbite equipment and Frostbite weapons in the Emporium?
It's not the Frostbite equipment.
Oh, it's not?
It's something else. Frostbite is the level, the season 1 clothing
I know that
we got. That's called Frostbite.
I thought the stuff that was in the Emporium is the stuff that...
No, it's the ice set. I can launch the game right now.
Iceborne stuff?
What the ice stuff is called, but it was originally a ship set last Christmas, and then we got the clothing through Twitch drops.
Was that?
And now this is the equipment and the weapons. And we got the weapons last year too, and now we get the equipment.
Okay.
I think we had the tankard last year too, but the rest of the equipment.
So it's
I'm gonna look it up right now. What's
different stuff than what I was thinking of, because I could have swore.
Yeah, it's very much ice themed, whereas the Frostbite is more of like fur themed. Still cold themed, but less ice, more fur. It is called, as I load up the
I did notice that the Emporium notes went to the bottom. Oh, it's the Frozen Horizon equipment.
Oh, I just clicked it. All right, yes, fine. You can have the answer.
Yay! I just went to the website and checked the actual notes. I did notice that the Emporium stuff went to the bottom of the patch notes now instead of the top.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know why, but yeah, they moved all the Emporium stuff to the bottom of the patch notes.
We have cool Emporium stuff this year. This thing. The ship set was very much like that other golden ship set, skull ship set with the
Warsmith versus
Warsmith very much looked like that, I thought.
Yeah.
Very nice. I liked the outfit. Barbosa, I said that was, I don't know if that was a top 10, but I said in one of your episodes I liked the Barbosa outfit, and that really shows off how cool it would be to have other equipment slots, like, you know, the bandolier and other set stuff. Looks great. I got it again because I buy digital things and I like to waste the money I earn with my time on digital things that
you can't take with you. You know how you can fix that?
Take with me or resell. Like when I used to play Hearthstone, and when I stopped playing, I'm like, I have all these digital cards I can't sell. I'm like, if I was playing Magic or Pokemon or something, and I could actually sell my cards.
Boy, howdy,
and make money when I stop playing.
Let me tell you about this cool thing called NFT. Where you can have access to your digital goods and resell them if you want.
Oh, everywhere. Oh, great. Amazing. Yeah, that's not going to do it for me. I'm not going to freaking burn down the rainforest so I can keep a hat. So I guess that kind of, you know, puts a nice little button on our topic. And I think in the future, as I come on your show, until this gets boring, I like the idea of talking about topics rather than me just going every new thing that you probably went over in the past 4 episodes.
I like the idea that
I would love to hear back from other people if they like sort of this way of me coming on better, picking a topic and still tying it to the stuff that's come out. But
are you asking from feedback for you? You're going to open up that can of worms?
It's a can of worms. It's always empty. I have found that whenever I ask for feedback from my audience, I almost never get it unless I direct message them. So I will be Logan. Let's make a bet. No, I can't make the bet because it'll change that people are hearing the bet who will affect it. But I was making a bet with you that you literally got not one piece of feedback about my question. But now that I said it, people can swing the bet however they want. But no one's going to give you a piece of feedback. I've given a couple call to actions on this show, like right in the show, talk about this, and literally 0 times has anyone ever fulfilled that.
I don't know what it is about my listeners then, because my listeners are great. They're like, I've seen community engagement for other podcasts, and that just blows mine out of the water. I don't know how folks do it or how they manage it, because they get a ton of questions every week and they get tons of engagement. But I love my Keelhauled members because they do respond, and I see it, whether it's through private message.
Well, if that's true, Logan, then the only explanation is that they just don't listen to the episodes I'm on. That can't be true.
I get feedback for you as well, for your podcast episodes and whatnot.
I bet you do.
I do.
I've got a piece of feedback for you about Caleb's episodes alone.
Let me tell you in a private message. No, I get feedback all the time, and everyone has their opinions, and everyone, and it's one of those things where regardless if people like having you on, I like having you on, so I always enjoy our conversations because it's the most combative I ever get on our on the podcast. Because it's you're one of the few people that I actually like bickering with, because it's not like we're actually fighting, because we're both big fans of the game. So it's
good old New Jersey Italian way of doing things. I would tell you the story about when my wife met my family.
Oh no.
So her, you gotta understand, her mother is a substitute teacher who works with non-neurotypical people. Her father is a librarian and an English teacher, and Tori comes over to my house. My dad, an Italian from Jersey. My mother, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, British Isles, from Jersey, and from how to put it? Let's say a poor family. We'll just say it that way. And so they come in. We're just talking like we normally do, and shut up, that's stupid, whatever, As you've heard many people who have, I'm sure you've heard this entire story many times before, of people who just loud, bombastic, and quote unquote yell at each other, then make each other dinner. And so I remember driving Tori home, and she said, she was just really quiet, and she goes, "Caleb, yeah, what's up? Why were you guys so angry with each other?" And I truly was perplexed. I remember I was young too, so this is the first time really interacting with this, where like your world is no bigger than your house, right? And you're like, I'm like, what do you mean we were angry? When we weren't yelling, yeah, you were angry. You were arguing all the time. I'm like, what do we argue about? And then she's like, picked the thing. I'm like, we're just talking. What do you mean? She's like, no, you were pretty angry. I'm like, were we though? As Jeff and Control Robinson might say. I'm not sure. And she's just quiet little household. And when my parents interact with her parents, it's gold. Oh man, it's gold. And they love each other. and that's the greatest part about it. But boy, just watching that cultural thing just hit up against each other is amazing. But can we talk, Logan? Can I just say a brief word about season 5?
Yeah.
Just a brief word. I gotta say, this is the best iteration of seasons yet. Bespoke items instead of recolors, full reimbursement of ancient coins, a full ship set, leveling up speed feels right, the ledger's refreshing each season. They really locked into what I think seasons should be. This is great. If they just keep doing this, I'll be content. This is really good. Good place.
Yeah. I think this season is definitely in the best place that it has been. Pales in this season is so much better than what the first season was, and I think a lot of that has to do with knowing what they want to do, and being able to take in feedback as well too. I think my only real downer on the season still is I feel like the story that they want to bring to the game is something that they could definitely kind of plan out better. But as we kind of get into season, or the second year of having seasons, I can only imagine that they've got that in mind with the next seasons. Like I imagine season 7 and season 8 are really going to pop off with just how refined they've kind of worked on this system, because it does feel really good. The only issue that I really have is I don't know if you run into this, but I do not pay attention to the rewards I get in my season, because the seasonal renown is so quick that I never feel like there's a moment of rejoicing with whenever I hit a certain like tier in the season, like in the renown. So that's one thing that Destiny does well, is like the levels are so infrequent that when you do hit it, there's like a little explosion on the screen, and it's like, hey, you just hit the next level in your season pass. And I'm like, what did I get? What did I get? What did I get? What did I get? And
Sure.
that's something I don't feel in Sea of Thieves, which.
Yeah, because it's so filled with fillers of golden doubloons that you're like, I mean, most of 9 out of 10 of the updates are going to be something I don't care about. Yeah, I understand that. That's not.
How do you? Weird comment, but just a quick polling. How, and this is actually, I'm actually curious for anyone that's listening to this too. I'd like to get your feedback on this. If the levels were chopped in half, but the time to earn was the same, like it took 100 levels worth of time to invest, but it was 50 levels, and they cut out the gold and doubloons, and it was just the cosmetics. I'd be curious if people would want that. Like if
so you're asking, do people want less stuff?
Well,
what's the benefit to this? I'm literally just getting less than I'm getting now.
Just like there was a little more pomp and circumstance to hitting a level. And look, the gold, like the gold, maybe they even tie in the gold to the actual tier. Like they take the gold and they just add it.
If that was the case, I would say 100%. If, there was no empty levels, everything came with it, and you still got the gold, like, hey, you got the hat and 5,000 gold and 20 doubloons or whatever the heck it is. That'd be cool. Yeah, I like the idea, like you were saying, of getting the pomp and circumstance.
I like that kind of celebration aspect of it. I think that's the thing that I would change about seasons going into it, because you're right. It feels like it's doing pretty well. I really can't think of too much that bugs me about them. I think I feel pretty comfortable with the seasonal rounds. I think the only thing is I just don't feel like each level gets celebrated the way it does in other games. And that is a purely manipulative thing that I admit that they don't have to do, because they aren't mentally manipulating me to say like, oh, guess what you did? You're such a good boy. You went and got that seasonal renown level. And I'm like, oh.
Listen, all I know is if they release not a samurai, a pirate cat, I'm just going to have to buy it. And if it's in the season, I'm going to have to earn it. And then I'll be excited. You watch. I'm all for it. Let me be the digital furry that I can't be in real life. I did get the feeling, though, the way they kind of talked about it, that the full ship set we got in the Plunder Pass was just sort of a Christmas bonus, that future seasons aren't going to involve a full ship set. We'll see. It's a beautiful ship set. Love the Aurora Borealis on everything. I don't know if you've seen that cannon flare. As a person who doesn't like cannon flares, I wonder if you would like it or not. It's a cool
you put it on that one time we sailed. You made me look at it.
Did you like it? Did you like it? I forgot.
It's all right. I've seen the real Aurora Borealis. It pales in comparison to the real one.
Well, sure, and so does sailing compared to fake sailing, but I don't own a boat.
No,
so
I
I'm
do
gonna have
not
to deal with the game.
I do not lament not being able to sail in real life. It's not something
Now,
I can do.
is if you have the wherewithal, the excellent memory to recall back so long ago
God.
when I said that poor companies communicating with us, it's like they're running a risk, so I would understand why no company would ever do it. I would like if Rare communicated just a little bit more about when previous season stuff will be returning. They said it was going to, and that's the last we heard about it. And so far we've gotten like 3 things have come back, and it was in the Emporium.
Yeah.
There were like a couple sales or something. I would love to see when everything else is coming back. Just tell us your plans. Come up with a plan, I guess, and freaking tell us. I'd love to know.
Yeah, I think that coming up with the plan is the stopper right now. I think they know they want to. I think they're trying to work out how the best way to do it would be.
Because they talk about a period of exclusivity at this point, and when next season starts, we would have a year of exclusivity with season 1 stuff, which is longer than I thought we were going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people want that Pirate Legend Curse that didn't get it?
I'm sure a lot of people I mean, out of sight, out of mind. How many people even remember about it?
Yeah, you mean the white eyes?
Yeah. Yeah, the green
A
eyes.
whole episode about white and green. That was great. Can I mention something about burying that I thought was intriguing? I think.
Yes, but we're going long.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I understand. We'll zip it up here. Burying. I think many of the members of the community are saying the same things. For once, we all agree that burying is interesting but niche and only useful in limited circumstances. It's not a game changer. However, it revealed something that I think, if iterated on, could be stellar.
Okay.
Stealing maps feels very good, as opposed to like trying to create a situation where you wait until they have the loot you want to steal. Like how many people have tucked for 3 hours, which I don't understand how people can watch that stream. If tucking was like 15 minutes maybe, but watching somebody just sit for hours, I can't imagine it. But imagine instead of tucking for 3 hours until they finally dig up the Ash and Athena chest, you can nab their map and go dig it up yourself. I think nabbing maps feels so good. They could iterate on that, and it could be really cool. The first thing that comes to mind is, hey, you can steal voyages. I think that's the least interesting version of it, and I think it probably is the one with the most problems. But I think we can iterate on this and make stealing maps, stealing voyages interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be, I mean, I like the idea. I think we need to talk about it more, though. I think that
Yes, that's why I said we got to iterate on it. It cannot just be stealing voyages. It comes too many problems. But if we iterate on the concept, it just feels so good to steal a map. And it doesn't, and it's not because, I'm saying that the act of it feels good. In the end, whatever they buried, I'm not very hopeful it's going to be something I care to dig up at the moment. But the act of stealing the map, putting it on my thing, it's a good mechanic, and I like it, and it feels very piratey. And it feels even better than waiting for them to dig up my million. Okay, and then I say to my friend, hey, now they have enough that I think we should sink them. Or here's like the worst case scenario, like if you're trying to get, like this was because I was trying to get an Athena grade 5 flag. Dash over, they've got only Athena grade 3. I'm like, okay, well, they have an Athena quest on their table, so we can come back to them later. Maybe their flag will be up. Now you go over and you say, instead of having like, we'll let this shark go and hope that it grows bigger, take their map, and you can go get the Athena things yourself. There's some interest in there that can be built on.
That we were talking about being able to put up someone else's emissary flag after you sank them. I can't remember.
I don't know, but that's intriguing.
I can't remember. I think this was part of the community members, one of the episodes that we had.
That's not bad. I like that.
But the idea was if you sink someone and they're like an emissary 3 for Athena, then you can erect their flag as yours.
Yeah.
And work on that ranking. Steal their emissary rank.
I like that. That's cool.
In that way because I mean, to your point, why would you want to do that? Well, you'd want to do that because you saw that someone had already gotten up to rank 3 Athena. You sink them, you steal their map and their flag, and you get to work on that. They know what you're doing if you decide to do it. They can always come back and imagine stealing a rank 5 back from them Like,
yeah,
like there's play in there that I like. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, getting your flag back is only to deny them turning it in. You can't do anything with it. If you could put it back up, then you have a reason to come get your flag back. Us who aren't like you, whose only interest is preventing other people from getting.
Oh God, it feels
people
so
who are
good.
like me, interest is getting the loot. That's a great idea. But anyway, so I think we've discovered something here that stealing maps is cool, and if we iterate on this, I think we can come out with something really cool.
It goes to what being a pirate was like. You know, we just recently watched Muppet Treasure Island. The whole point of that movie was to steal a map from someone and then someone trying to steal it back. It wasn't about waiting for them to go and dig it up and then take it. It was like they wanted the map because the map led to the treasure. They were willing to go get the treasure, but it was about the map. And that isn't nearly as prevalent in Sea of Thieves, a pirate game, as it is in pirate fantasy and in movies and stuff like that. You know, it's all about the leading you to the treasure and who knows how to get to that treasure. Like Jack Sparrow has the compass that leads him to the thing he wants the most. He goes and he gets the drawing of the key because he knows he has to get the key because the key gets to the chest, it gets to Davy Jones' heart. He's not going and trying to steal Davy Jones's heart directly. The whole story is leading you to that point. Same thing with Sea of Thieves. Like if you steal someone's map, then you get to go do whatever they're doing. Like how many people would love to steal someone else's Gilded Athena, as opposed to hoping that the person that you're hunting down on Crook's Hollow or Lone Cove is doing the Athena's fortune or the Gilded Athena.
Mm-hmm.
So it would open up the opportunity for revenge as well too. Like if you get sunk by someone and they steal your map, they're going to be working on your map. That affords you the opportunity to go attack them, knowing that they still don't have your treasure.
Yep.
It's an interesting idea.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool potential. I think that the bandana was cool. That you can have that kerchief, whatever they called it, and go over your face.
Yeah.
Really cool. Love to see more of those. Great. Another illustration. If we had more slots,
I want actual map.
We could do more cool things with your pirate.
I want like actual masks, like Wanda's mask. I want like actual face masks, like stuff that you can hide your face with and stuff.
Like the Barbosa set showed, more ways to customize our pirate. More slots would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
FYI, we're now back to 5 ships in a server. I'm sure they won't admit it like they did last time until they fix it, but we're at 5 ships to a server.
Right now we are?
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. I was sailing over to the Fort of the Damned, and something cool happened to me where just the way it rendered, one light showed up at a time. So like, it looked like the fort was turning on its lights when I got near, which was incredibly spooky. And I just wanted to share that because that's really cool. That was just so neat seeing one light dot, 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 and I was like, they just saw me coming or something. The skeletons just got ready. The beacons
have been lit.
Gondor that answers. Was so cool. Hey, Rare, quick request. Can we get more neck tattoos? Often the neck tattoos are the only ones that you can see when you're wearing clothing. So I'd like a few more of those. More tattoos.
See, that's the problem is you're wearing clothing, just like the Alliance flags, man.
How often that is a problem. I forgot about the Bilge Rat firework voyages until after Grog Manny. I did all the things. They only unlock after you do the Grog Manny, and I forgot to go do them. Did you do them?
You're talking about the powder keg ones?
No, the Bilge Rat firework voyages, not the
Bilge Rat firework voyages. Yeah, those are the ones where it's like it's like the powder keg stuff, right?
No, I believe they were different. They were locked, and they unlock as you do the Grog Manny challenges.
Oh, then I might not have done them because the only thing that I have from the Bilge Rat stuff was when the Grog Manny stuff came up. There was like a whole bunch of gunpowder voyages that were opened, and I grabbed all of them, and I have not done them.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, and you can do one to see, but I believe there was designated fireworks ones that were locked, and that lead you to a box of Bilge Rat fireworks.
Oh man, I should have paid attention to that. I completely forgot about them. I still have my Gilded Athena because I just haven't thought about doing it.
I got it too. I'll probably wait till next season to use it to get up my Athena.
Well, I mean, Community Day would be a banger day to do that, as I use a word that I hate.
If I needed Athena rep, but I don't.
That's fair. But you might need Athena Ledger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't need it this season.
Oh, gotcha.
I finished it
I
already.
gotcha.
Next season.
I just realized that was going to be a great way for me to actually get my Athena ledger up, is to knock that out.
If I can do the forbidden thing and Caleb talk about lore, I just can't stand hearing you guys talk about Flameheart anymore without me giving my 2 cents, as little value as it could be. Here's what I want to see from Flameheart. We don't need him to be the big bad. They've introduced another big bad with the captain and the shattered dark, whatever you want to call them, dark lords. What was the thing called?
The Dark Brethren.
What would you call it? The Dark Brethren court that now is only 2 people or something. So you have that. And they introduce that as like the big bad, and I don't need Flameheart to be the other big bad. I much would prefer him to be the Vegeta, where he ends up becoming our friend, and you kind of laugh about it, and it's like, oh, that's Flameheart, and yeah, he's a little rough around the edges, but in the end, he's got a good heart, and I just would love to see that come out from Flameheart. Not the like, oh, we've talked about like with Duke before, where like in the end, he does one last good thing to show that he wasn't completely corrupted or that he was redeemed in the end. I don't need an emotional redeeming story from Flameheart, but to be the bad guy Vegeta that turns good guy and like, oh, I wanted to take over the world, but fine, I'll stick with you. And you and I still have a rivalry. And one day maybe we'll settle the score in a fight to see who really is the strongest Saiyan in the world. But we're going to, whenever a threat comes together, we'll fight it together. And I'll summon my ghostly dudes and we'll come over my Ashen Lords and they'll fight. It would be cool to be fighting next to Ashen Lords in the skeleton war that's inevitably coming. And having skeletons on our side because of Flameheart. And you have a little bit where you settle the score with Flameheart, where you have to get Vegeta to your side. Yeah, he starts as the villain.
You gotta beat him.
We have to finish that. Right, in a way, yeah. So we have to get there, and I still want that story to happen. But I don't need him to be the big bad guy that goes up against another big bad guy. I would love for him to become our ally, and I think that would be a great direction to go, and maybe the more interesting direction to go. That's my 2 cents.
I like the idea, but I just have a hard time seeing how they can bring that into the story, given the teases that they've had for Flameheart Jr. supposedly, where it feels like Flameheart Jr. during that orb stream really kind of doubled down on the motives behind Flameheart Sr. And I would actually, you know what, I tell you what, I would like that, but I'd like that for Wanda more than Flameheart. Like, I'm okay with Flameheart being the big bad, but to have and this would be something that I think maybe would be good for folks that loved Duke, as opposed to me, the skeptic, who always didn't have faith in him. But Wanda being the person who is the tentative ally of us, because they recognize that Flameheart is a much bigger burning fire than the small lighter in our pocket that's constantly pickering or bugging us. We burn our hands on the Zippo lighter as we're trying to light this cigarette that we're addicted to. Don't smoke, kids. And meanwhile, there's a giant fire going on behind us we're not paying attention to.
Listen, here's the deal. We fight against Flameheart, us and him, and then in comes the Dark Brethren court. And to interrupt it, we team together to defeat them. And then at the end, you have the brothers of battle, where it's like, all right, you know what? Okay, we don't have to, I guess, fight anymore. We've seen some eye to eye. We've got some empathy for each other. And you know what, Flameheart? You can have the roar. That place is full of fire. Go there, put your head hovering over there, and you can chill there, and you can burn any ship that comes through. And you know what? Flameheart, I just come back from the ferry. You never tried to stop me from doing that. The Brethren Court did. They're real threats. You killed me, and sometimes you won, sometimes I won. In the end, we both got to fight another day, because your threat to the Sea of Thieves isn't as all-consuming deadly as the Brethren Court's plan was. And that's obviously their intention. They're going to find more plans that are really threatening. Whereas as Flameheart, it's almost a fun rivalry. Oh, I got shot to the ferry, you sank me. Oh, another hit. There's a little bit of competitiveness in there, a little bit of sportsmanship that I like about Flameheart. So you're thinking that makes him less just evil. I want to consume the world. He wants it to be his Sea of Thieves. The other place wanted to destroy everything. Even what was her name? That you just Wanda? Said her name. Wanda. It's like, I'll leave nothing left for you, Flameheart. And Flameheart's like, I want to rule everything. Completely different motives.
So you're equating Flameheart to the old snipey guy that wants to play chess out in the park.
I guess. Yes, in some ways. He's out there.
Like,
yeah.
Wanda's-
He's not just in it for the competitive. It's like, we let Flameheart think he's making a difference.
Yeah.
He thinks he's taking over the world. The old guy, if he had a little bit of dementia.
Wanda's the
maybe.
park ranger that's trying to kick you out because you guys are just trying to play a game of chess. Flameheart is the old guy that's like, I remember being young and vibrant, and I'm gonna kick your butt, little whippersnapper. Checkmate.
Listen, Flameheart with dementia is now my new goal for the Sea of Thieves lore to get to, and then we'll all be happy. Where he's like, "Oh yeah, we beat him 9 times, but he doesn't remember. He thinks it's the first time we fought." And it's.
I love the idea. I had this funny idea when you were talking about Flameheart sitting in the roar and that being his place. I was just like, he's his whole thing is like flames and whatnot, and I was just like imagining his big glowy head kind of like sitting in a volcano like it's a hot springs, and he's just kind of like relaxing with a towel over his forehead, and it's nice and warm and stuff. Like that was the imagery that I got in my head, and I can't render that for like an image or something, but God, that would be hilarious just to see like Flameheart's head. He's like, I'm so tired of being out.
Wouldn't you love to chill with skeletons? You have that potential with Flameheart. You don't really quite have that potential with Wanda, other than the sort of etherealness where we think maybe she controls some ships. Maybe. It's ethereal, it's out there. Flameheart has skeletons, and almost all the skeletons we fight are mindless, except for his, which will talk to you and stuff. And it'd be cool to have like skeletons as part of the world, friendly skeletons. That would be neat. I would love that.
You mean like the cursed captain in Tall Tale 1 of Pirate's Life, one of the best seasonal updates?
Yes. Oh yeah, what a great illustration. To be able to have, I'm making this up. This isn't what I'm suggesting, but a outpost that's got skeletons there that you trade with. It's exactly the same mechanic. It's not an outpost, but they're all skeletons because it's after we've allied with Flameheart. That sort of thing, I think, would be fun. I'm sure the direction they'll actually go is when we have like a whole World of the Damned, what do you call it? Sea of the Damned. That's when we'll probably interact with a lot of skeleton NPCs, I'm sure, and ghost NPCs.
You mean kind of?
I'm sure it's not going to be really implemented into the world that exists. But even so, that would be cool. I like the idea of the skeletons because skeletons are fitting the same pirate theme as we're hitting, which is Pirates for Eternity. We always come back from the Ferry of the Damned. It's the thing that the Reapers kind of the thing they dangle out on the fishing pole to get you to where you need to go. It's the same theme that skeletons have, except the skeletons have been either mindless or evil. Pirates can be both of those things, and since we're both hitting the same immortal themes, we're immortal pirates. I don't see why we can't let the things that we have in common bind us more than the things we have in differences.
Well, what's funny is 2 points. One, I think that we might get something like that if the theories about the Devil Shroud overtaking like Golden Sands Outpost or having us go back to Tribute Peak. I think part of that might come into play where we're actually doing something like that. But also, I remember talking to Mike forever ago, and one of the things that they wanted to do with Maiden Voyage is the skeleton that you kill when you take the sword out of its chest was intended to have voice lines to try and warn you off of going into the Sea of Thieves.
Really?
Yeah. So that was like, they have like dreams and goals. And I think the skeleton captain may have taken some of the nods of things that they wanted to do. Like they always have ideas, and the ideas always come, but the ideas may not always come in the way that they originally envisioned, which I'm learning from the team. Which it's like it's kind of like Shigeru Miyamoto. No idea ever dies; it just gets put on the back burner until it comes to a point where they can actually use it. Like they never get rid of.
I prefer his other quote of "Anime was a mistake."
Anime was a mistake.
Was that Shigeru Miyamoto?
I didn't. Everyone has like that one quote that he said about a good game being, a delayed game being good, and a bad game being bad forever kind of thing. And I fully expected.
Yeah, which was true until patches.
Yeah, that's.
Why do people use that quote so often?
Oh, but it's become like a meme now where people are just like, oh, when Ishikawa said that good games are all right and bad games suck. Like they just Like that was, it's getting to that point now where people are just misquoting it all the time on purpose.
I found it. It was Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki, that said anime was a mistake. The guy, the Studio Ghibli.
Oh, anime was a mistake. That's funny.
Which I don't know if he actually said, but it's become a meme where like somebody shows him like an anime with like busty girls or whatever, like a harem anime, and he just like, anime was a mistake. Great. You once asked me, hey Caleb, what do you think the building that's being built on all the outposts is going to be?
Oh yeah.
And everyone always had their theory. You asking me, so let me give my pie in the sky guess, my shot in the dark, I mean to say guess, as what's going to happen next in the story. I think that Flameheart is going to mount an assault on Tribute Peak, and I think that's going to be, this is going to be the war between the Dark Brethren and Flameheart. Whereas before it was like I said, the war between us and the Dark Brethren, and Flameheart gets in the middle. I think it's going to be the war between Flameheart and Dark Brethren, and we're the ones in the middle, which is a great position to be in as PCs that can make a difference. Very World of Warcraft, very MMO.
Yeah,
we're going to be we're the chosen heroes are going to make a difference in this battle. But I think going back to Tribute Peak, because we learned, I wrote this down and I didn't write the source. Maybe it was a tweet. Where was it? It was somewhere where we learned that the reason the Gold Hoarder came back was because we keep giving gold to the Gold Hoarders. Yeah. That's why he comes back. Greed always exists. As long as we give them stuff, their dude comes back. If we stopped giving the Gold Hoarders stuff after we learned that, they're evil, maybe he would have come back. But guess what? We're pirates and we got that stuff by stealing anyway. So of course we're going to give it to them. We're not freaking rosebuds either.
For one, that's a great Citizen Kane reference, but that's exactly why I don't care about gold. I'd rather deny gold than turn it in. I am not going to continue to promote Wrathbone coming back as the Gold Hoarder. Like, why do I care about gold? I should not care about gold. I should care about the adventure. I'm doing my part. I think
that this war is happening, and Flameheart's going to be like, I'm going to mount an assault, and what I'm going to do is destroy one of the Dark Brethren. And the Gold Hoarder's the obvious choice. Go to Tribute Peak. I have an army of skeletons and undead and ghost ships. I don't know who the Phantoms. Do the Phantoms, do they have an allegiance, or are they just allied with themselves because they've torn from their world into this world? I don't know. I mean, he's got a whole army that can go assault the Gold Hoarder and take him out of the game.
I don't have...
come back all you want, but I own your whole area, so come back and I'll spawn camp you.
I don't have...
This gold is now
confirmation on this, but I think the idea between the Phantoms is that they are spirits, like discontent spirits, who are bleeding into our world as a result of the actions from the Dark Brethren.
And if someone can gather them up, sort of like we had Davy Jones trying to do, maybe they can, add them to their army. But as of now, they're just independent.
Yeah.
Little raiding parties.
Yep.
Well, Logan, you've gotten so much lore out of me that it's probably all going to be wrong, but that's my 2 cents on the lore. We always end with a top 10, and I'm not going to do it this time. Logan, I was deeply disappointed and hurt that you didn't put in cool top 10 sound effects, and you just left in my terrible number 1. How dare you? So you're not going to get a top 10. Instead, it's part of this theme of mixing things up a little bit. I'm going to do one last top 10 the next time I'm on your show, and that's going to be my last top 10. I'm going to spend a lot of time on it, make sure it's perfect and great. So look forward, everyone. One more top 10 coming out with all the sound effects. I'll bribe Logan if I have to. I will give him the $8.99 instead of buying a samurai cat. Oh, did you not still have the 9 sound effects I sent to you? You didn't have all those for the 9 episodes we've done them in?
You always gave me different sounders for each top 10, and I just assumed that
until the last one where we had to repeat use one because I said I ran out. And you had all those files, just didn't want to use them.
You never said to repeat it.
I know the last time we did a top 10. Logan, we don't need to talk about this. Isn't even an argument. Just because you're wrong doesn't mean we need to explain why you're wrong. The point is, you didn't do it, and I was disappointed, but you're going to do it next time. Even if I have to give you $8.99 on your Patreon instead of buying a samurai cat. If that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do to get my top 10 sound effects that I steal from YouTubers.
Okay. All right.
It's number 1. Freaking Screw Attack. Oh, the nostalgia. That's what I want. The next thing I want in the game is I want my jump to have a screw attack like Samus. When is that coming rare?
I got nothing.
Known issue. The screw attack is not functioning. You just normally jump.
Can I add on to that another known issue that is not listed? Cannot crouch.
We could sleep. We could sit. But goodness forbid we crouch. Oh, one last thing. I'm so glad you brought this up. So important. It's like the thing I wanted to say the most here, which was that sitting, my initial thought was that it was going to be a disaster, as I was going to sit all the time when I wanted to grab the cannon, sit when I wanted to grab the wheel, sit like with the stupid pet all the time when I'm trying to dig or whatever. I pick up the pet and sit on whatever item after. Yeah. Hate that. I thought that was going to happen with sitting. It hasn't for me. There's one spot it happens is when I'm trying to look at the map. Very often I will sit. I think if they moved that sit to like the side of the map so that doesn't happen anymore, that would be great. Literally, aside from that one exception, sitting doesn't get in the way for me, and I'm really happy about that. However, I would love to see a setting that would disable, that would, toggle on or off the sit prompts. So if I just didn't want to worry about accidentally sitting, I could just toggle it off. Maybe I could put it to a hotkey and just turn that off, and I won't even see the sitting thing, so I won't accidentally sit.
That's interesting. I hadn't considered that because, I can see that being as a good accessibility option, like just being able to have that as a toggle.
And we all love floating. I like what you gave me, give me more theme. I like being able to space to go up. Let me hit control to go down.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want a descend button as well, too.
I keep going slow with control because I think it toggles walking. And I'm like, oops, I'm just trying to go down and now I'm going super slow. But Logan, thank you so much for letting me come on your show.
Yeah.
And I love you. And I know everyone hates the most is when I talk about whether or not people like me. So I promise you the next time I'm here, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to assume you all love me. But I love you. What I do. I love all your listeners. And I love the opportunity to come on and talk to you guys about this game that I love. Yeah. Thank you so much, Logan.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to get a hold of you or any of the content that you make, where can they go to start listening to Trailblazers?
That's great. Well, don't at me. I don't really use Twitter very often.
Well, you're going to have to.
Hit me up at my website, tblazer.net. It's Trailblazers, so the letter T, blazer.net. And you can email me. The email's listed there, but it's tblazernetwork@gmail.com. Or you can join our Discord, which is where you can interact directly with me, and I'm pretty much addicted to it, so I will respond to you if you at me on Discord. At me all you want on Discord. Twitter, don't use that. I'm not going to use Twitter. But Discord all the time, or if you email me. But listen to our show, Trailblazers, an actual play podcast, edited a lot like an audio drama. So my players are creating the story with us, but then we edit it like the story was all, there from the start, and sound effects and just really great things in that way. Let's start with season 2. Season 1's literally garbage. Yep. Because it was the first things I ever made. Hard to listen to, but season 2, great.
Yep. You can see how he stole the train heist theme from the Adventure Time. Or no, the adventure.
Well, look who listened to episode 1 of season 2. I'm excited. Look at you. I
especially liked the actual bar room scene where everyone was like, "Hey, there's a bunch of furries here, and we're totally fine with it. But I also want to be a furry." And this is Caleb's admission podcast to becoming a furry.
There is someone once said, Bernie Burns, formerly of Rooster Teeth, once said that irony doesn't exist on the internet. If you pretend to be something for irony, there's no difference from people looking in that it's you pretending or not. You can't be ironic on the internet. And someone else who formerly of Rooster Teeth, Ray Navarez Jr. once said that if you keep doing something ironically, it eventually you just end up I'm doing that thing. He would ironically say, what was it? What was it? Oh my gosh,
Wasn't Bernie Burns a big fan of Sea of Thieves too?
He is. Yeah. Yep. He's got like almost every combination, I believe. Even the arena stuff. He's also, I believe, a fellow Triumphant Sea Dog. What did Ray would say? YOLO all the time, ironically, but now he's just saying YOLO all the time. So it's a similar thing with me where there's there's some like furry things deep down there, but I'm nowhere near the level of furry who talks about it all the time, but I've ironically talked about it all the time, which is literally at this point no different than being a furry like that all the time. So listen to season 2. We get some real furry themes. I call it cyberpunk. My player Christian, who's a player in that game, called it cyber furry. But yeah, I'm so happy to hear you listen to season 1. I'll be interested to see if you listen to episode 2 or not.
No, I'm on season 2, but
That's what I meant to say. See if it's actually caught you. That first episode was really designed to try to be exciting enough to reel you in and get you to want to listen to episode 2. We'll see if that's successful.
It's fun. I'm curious.
But I also got Trailblazer Academy, where you can learn how to play Pathfinder and Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Episodes are slow right now, but they are still going to come out. And we also talk about things, tips and stuff that are system agnostic, any role-playing game. Good tips for storytellers, too.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming onto the podcast. I think we always have a lot of fun.
I appreciate you, CaptainLogun of Keelhauled Podcast.
That's all. No. I really love the times that we get to chat and stuff and whatnot. And if anyone is out there looking to listen to more content, especially if it's a story, if you like stories, definitely go listen to Trailblazers, because it's really well done. And I would agree that season 2 is a good kicking off point. Awesome.
Well, thanks again for having me on, Logan. Peace and love.
Thank you. I'll do the outro for everyone as usual. You've probably already heard the intro, so it's not an issue. And with that, Pirates, thank you very much. We'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
My name is Brian Burton. It's been 26 years since the bombs fell. And since I've left the vault, I've been trying to rebuild. This isn't the Appalachia that I remember. There's so much more to everything going on. And I promise to find the answer. So if you're out there, if you're listening, just hone in on these coordinates. Remember, there's a place for you at the end. Omega.
The Omega broadcast, A Fallout Story, is available on iTunes, Spotify, and many great podcasting sources.
Hey, I'm Pylon.
And I'm Doc.
And if you've ever played an Elder Scrolls game, you've probably used UESP.net to help you find information about a quest, dive deeper into lore, or really learn anything about the Elder Scrolls.
But did you know we have a podcast too? Every week we bring you the latest in Elder Scrolls news, dig deeper into topics surrounding the game, and have a ton of fun while doing it.
You can find us on your favorite podcatcher by searching the unofficial Elder Scrolls podcast. Can't wait to see you all there.